He did rizz up Livy Dunn, so we should talk about that.
That's a
Can you explain
crime.
to me?
That's
Can
a
you
crime.
explain to me what those words mean? First of all,
So, so there, the whole thing. If you haven't been following the Baby Gronk, Drip King, Livy Dunn love triangle,
wait. There's Drip King.
This is the
Yeah,
first
dude.
time I've ever felt
No,
old.
I
I don't think we
respect
should
one
talk
Drip
about.
King, and that's Rick Pitino. All right, welcome back to Macrodosing. It is Thursday. It is June 8th, 2023. We got a big pack show for you guys today. I'm standing up right now. I'm holding my mic at my desk, standing up, getting some exercise, getting the blood circulating. Been sitting down too long. So if this is an extra banger of a show, I might have to just be standing up in the future. Please, I hope it's not that good of a show because I can already tell I'm going to get tired. All right, let's get to it.
Canada's hotboxing us. Canada is absolutely hotboxing the entire Northeast and parts of the Midwest.
Yeah, so I'm not in New York right now. I'm in Chicago. I'm in Michael Jordan's house, which I purchased. And I know that it's bad in New York, but I did not know how bad it was until I saw some of the pictures yesterday, where it definitely looked like people were just blazing up all over Midtown.
It's completely fine.
Oh, come on.
This
Big
is
T.
the biggest overreaction I've
No.
ever
no,
seen.
you
Big
haven't
T,
seen it
I-
in the last like 20
Big T, I
minutes.
went running.
I saw it today.
No,
Oh,
no,
I
no,
went-
it's just getting
Did you see the
worse.
pictures? I went running with my dog this morning, and I was like, I'm like, whatever. It's like a little bit of smoke. My dog started. So we do like a 2-mile run every morning, mostly 4 times, 5 times a week.
I go 3 miles 6 times a week.
Well, my
Go
dog
ahead.
is about 120 pounds, so it's we're working on it, and then we work out after. It's just a warm up. But about I'd say 0.75 miles in, he starts coughing and sputtering, and I'm like, oh shit! Like I was gonna see if my lungs started getting fucked up by it, but my dog's lungs. He started coughing, slowing down. So then we just walked home, and then I decided to wear a mask to work because I was like, my dog was definitely way more sensitive to it than I was, because dogs probably, he's a bulldog, but yeah. So I wore a mask. They're saying that if you spent 24 hours smoking, 24 hours breathing this air, it's the equivalent of smoking 6 cigarettes. It's pretty
That's not
bad.
that
Which is
That's
like not bad at all.
Yeah. 6 cigarettes? Okay,
six-
so you're talking about like one night in my 20s.
Yeah. Okay.
And you have to
still-
stand outside for 24
Still,
hours.
children developing lungs shouldn't be.
I will say
smoking.
in the last, there are screenshots from the last like 10 minutes, and it does look considerably worse.
You didn't see the ones yesterday?
Yeah, the ones it was.
You didn't see my TikTok?
I did not
no,
see
I
your
did not
TikTok,
see your
Billy.
TikTok,
But-
Billy. But
So I'm also staying very woke on this to lead the show. Billy basically just intercepted the start of the show, went off on a tirade just in case somebody happened to take a picture of him on the subway on the way into work this morning and saw Billy wearing a mask. He's like, just for the record, this is why I was wearing a mask. Has nothing to do with COVID. It's just because the fires.
Yeah, but the fires are pretty bad. If you look, like the whole eastern Nova Scotia region's on fire.
now Jack Mack was showing me earlier
I was, yeah.
a radar of Canada, and there's 5 or 6 places where the smoke all appears many hundreds of miles from each other at the exact same time.
Okay, now, so I'm glad you brought that up, Big T, because Billy also shared that video with me yesterday. I did a closer look of it, and it's a sped up weather map. So as it's sped up, the fires do start at different times. But when you play it quickly, it looks like they all start at the exact same
Well,
time.
how far
And the same
apart?
day.
Different times.
Well, what happens with a fire is one place starts burning and ember floats, and it starts up another fire at another dried tree that's close by.
these are far apart from what I saw.
Yeah, so
Hundreds of miles.
I looked into this. There were some reports of arson in Nova Scotia. I'm not saying, the thing is, arson can happen in the forest all the time, and it doesn't result in forest fires like this. But I do think there's an element of, and I'll show you the exact link to the arson, which is in my inbox. But the forest was definitely ripe for a burning. There is definitely
Yes.
a situation where it is extremely dry. It's the perfect environment for, be it the lack of rain, low humidity for it to burn. That I totally agree with. And I think that because of that, you saw the same day, the same conditions, all the fires, it was a perfect storm of when they were all going to, light off. But there were several arsons. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's people trying to prove a point that, our forests are in a bad situation and lighting them off.
All right. So if they all started at the same time, then that would mean that there were multiple arsonists that were all coordinating their stopwatches and starting these fires at the same time.
Well, in the same day. So Edmonton Journal, Cold Lake area man facing 10 arson charges after a string of wildfires. April 30th, 2023.
Okay, so that was a couple months ago.
It was a month ago.
A month and a half ago, yeah.
But, people have been, in those fires have been burning in succession. They put them out, but they start again, ember type scenarios. So I'm not saying that they're all arson. Of course, there's probably a couple, lit cigarettes getting flicked into the woods causing some of this, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a attempt to be like, where there's smoke, there's fire, the squeakiest wheel gets oil type thing.
Are you saying these are false flag fires? Like they were started by environmentalists to raise awareness about fires?
That is almost verbatim what Billy and Jack Mack did say, yes.
Okay. All right. So yeah, the simplest explanation is most likely the correct one. These dried ass forests up in Canada are all on fire because people started fires to tell people about how easy it is to start a fire.
But the thing is, there have been people arrested for arson.
Smokey's not getting the impressions he used to.
That's true.
Okay.
I'm not...
It's time for a rebrand.
I just wish sometimes Billy would look into what the actual causes of things
I did.
were,
I just told you.
Rather than the causes that would make him
the
most
actual
mad.
cause
I just
is that
told you.
communist Trudeau sending us all his smoke.
Yeah.
We need to protect American borders from other countries' smoke.
Build a fan.
Yeah, build that fan.
Build that fan, baby. All you need is a big wall that goes back and forth like this.
But these fires
blow some of that air back. Keep that Canadian air up in Canada.
But
Agreed.
These fires have been burning. I posted a picture of the moon like a couple weeks ago, and one of the responses were, it's because of the Canadian wildfires. These fires have been burning for a while. They just all kicked into gear.
Now, I'm just thinking out loud. What if this air that has impregnated America from Canada was laced with some sort of Canadian socialist communist manifesto agent that was sent here to infect the American air, right? And so now the Americans are breathing in communism, literally, and it's going to infect the population, and soon we're going to be a failed state. What do we think about that?
And we're not going to know about it because we're being drugged.
Right.
So we're being, okay, well, I like that take, Big T.
I mean, when people are walking outside taking videos, oh, look at this, isn't this crazy? Before you know it, 95% tax rates.
There you go. I would believe that if maybe the forest fires were taking place in like a big marijuana field, and they're trying to make us breathe in that reefer, start to believe in world peace and love.
Well, then they should have sent it somewhere other than New York. Everybody here is high all the time.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's redundant.
Yeah. I saw the video. I don't think that they all started at exactly the same time. I think that was kind of a trick of speeding up the Doppler radar.
No, but they all started the same day. That you can conclude.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that every single
from time to time.
Like forest fires happen. Like I'm not saying that, but there were. I could imagine some like asshole arsonists were doing at least one of them because they have arrests. But they're definitely probably campfire, other ways that forest fires, accidentally occur. I'm not saying it's all a big conspiracy. Yeah. But I just want one person to yell at and be like, fuck you.
That's actually not a bad point, Billy. It's always good to have one person.
I don't want to yell at the family who has a bunch of kids that they're trying to go camping, and then they're trying to take care of their kids, and accidentally an ember goes out of the campfire and hits the forest. Like, you can't really get mad at those people.
Can you educate people on fire safety? Tell them how to put out the campfire and make sure that it does not start
Yeah,
an issue like this?
you piss on it. You just piss on it. You have to drink a lot of beer so that at the end of the night you have a lot of piss to piss all over the campfire, and then make sure it's dark so that you can see where each ember is, and you pee on each one. That's how you properly put out a campfire.
That's what we need to do. We need to
Yeah.
get a bunch of frat dudes up to Quebec, make them have a rager, and then just piss all
Pee.
over the forest.
Mhm.
I volunteer to piss on Quebec also.
Okay.
Analogous
Just
to
for
French.
my own personal enjoyment. I don't need to find a fire.
Yeah, frat guys and SEC fans.
Yeah, I just want to piss on Quebec.
All right.
Quebecois.
So have you ever been to Quebec?
I have been to Ontario. I've actually
All
been
right.
from Ontario, like all the way west.
What is your beef with Quebec?
I have a beef with Canada in general. Toronto, great city. I love Toronto. What's the Calgary as well? Calgary was like the Nashville of Canada. A lot of cowboy hats, a lot of
Oil country.
pretty red up there in Calgary. Calgary's a good place.
What do you think of Vancouver?
Red
Haven't
State,
been.
Canada.
Vancouver has like legal all drugs.
Calgary's as far west as we went.
Vancouver's beautiful. I went up to
That's what I
Vancouver for a
heard.
bachelor party a few years ago, and despite Paul Bissonnette's best efforts, it is still very much a clean, beautiful city. It's like you've got islands, you've got bays, you've got mountains, you got grizzly bears up there.
You also have snow bears. I mean ghost bears, which are the black bears that are all white.
That's pretty sick.
Quebec though is the French Canadians, communists. Like they're the ones I have beef with. And
I've heard
now
that Montreal is a great city, though.
Yeah. Depends on how old you are.
I was gonna say, don't they have a ton of strip clubs there?
No, it's fun when you can't drink in America and you and your buddies pile in a car and drive up there to drink when you're 18. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But then outside of that, it's not really that cool.
I missed out on a bachelor party in Montreal one time. One of the biggest regrets of my life.
The Canadian Ballet.
Is that what they call it?
That's what they call it.
There's sure some beaver up here we got now. Come on and visit us. Okay, then. Sorry about the fires. Sorry. Okay. Smoking you out a little bit now. All right. So this is all a big distraction to talk us out of discussing the biggest news of the day, which is that baby Gronk rizzed up Livy.
Yep. And even gave her a hug.
Even gave her a hug and a side hug. So I saw the video. If you haven't seen the video, good for you, because honestly, I feel dumber even understanding what this is. But this lacrosse player, this college lacrosse player, put out a video chronicling the adventures of baby Gronk. And who is baby Gronk, you might ask? Well, it's literally any tight end who's ever played after Rob Gronkowski has been called baby Gronk at some point in their career. There have been like 9 different baby Gronks. Tyler Eifert was baby Gronk for a while. Who's the current baby Gronk?
Baby Gronk.
Kuntz on the Jets. He's a freak. He's 6'8", freak of nature.
Isn't this undrafted guy you were talking about?
No, I'm pretty sure he's
Undrafted
from
rookie?
He's from Old Dominion.
What's
Okay,
his
but
first
he's
name?
He's from Penn State.
He's not baby Gronk, though. Let's be clear.
But this guy hasn't played a game in the NFL.
No, but when he does, you're gonna be like, "Holy shit, that man is a."
Yeah.
Okay, so he's for sure not.
But
You
Bill,
can't
you
be
know what I'm
baby
saying.
Gronk as an undrafted rookie.
We've called 9
Yes,
different guys
yes.
baby Gronk
Well,
since Rob Gronkowski.
yeah.
Travis Kelce has been called baby Gronk, but then he just
He
grew
will never
into.
be.
What do you mean? Because he doesn't block.
Travis Kelce.
Because he runs soft. I just have to say it. He doesn't lower the shoulder on anybody. The man got pile drives on the 5-yard line. He turns around and he like wiggles. He like runs like a quarterback.
Good thing that you're not going to meet Travis Kelce in a couple weeks at Tight End University, Billy, because it'd be a real shame if somebody were to clip that and then tweet it out and then let Travis Kelce know that you're
He's
coming.
not dragging people.
You're going to have to try to tackle Travis Kelce now. You think you could tackle him?
Ah, shit.
You said he runs like a bitch.
You think Travis Kelce's bad at football?
No, I don't think he's bad. I think he's very good, but I just don't think he has the mentality.
Wow.
He doesn't have a tight end mentality.
He doesn't have the mentality to be great.
He's also a fellow podcaster.
Yeah.
Oh man, Billy, you're
Fuck.
gonna have to try to tackle
I hate
Travis
that. I
Kelce.
hate that I have to like meet these people. Like,
No,
why
you don't.
can't I just be talking
going to
shit?
tight end university is like what you've been trying to do out of this job for the last 3 years. We
I know, I'm
finally
so
said
happy.
okay.
I'm
Sounded
so
to me
happy.
like Billy was asking permission
No.
to not go.
I just wish I could talk shit with no repercussions, like I'm in the locker room or at the lunch table with my buddies.
Okay, so you want to not go?
No, I'll go. I'll say it to his face.
Oh, is it if it isn't the consequences of our own actions?
Yes, he just
Yeah.
doesn't run like Gronk. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Billy.
He's
sewing.
very good. I will say
Billy
it to his
sewing. This rules. I love this. Billy reaping. What the fuck? This sucks. Yeah. Okay. So tough time for you to say that, Billy. But you know what?
Shit.
Freedom of speech. I respect your right to say it. I disagree. But
He doesn't run like George Kittle runs hard. Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Keep
George
pissing
Kittle,
him
another
off
baby
because
Gronk.
he keeps going back to it. He's going to say more.
Like George Kittle runs like Travis Kelce doesn't run angry. When
Are
was
you
the last
calling
time-
him? Are you calling him the S word?
No, I'm saying
You did
that
call him
he
something.
he played quarterback in college.
Okay.
I think that's all you have to say.
Say what you want to say.
No, we can
Say what
Does
you wanna
Travis
say.
Kelce have that Gronk in him?
No, he doesn't.
Wow.
All right.
He's very good. Multiple Super Bowl winner. Really great receiver.
All right. George Kittle also has been called Baby Gronk before.
Yeah.
A lot of guys get called Baby Gronk. Now, there's a new Baby Gronk on the block, and he is 10 years old. Am I right?
11, yeah.
He's
I feel
11.
so bad for this kid.
I feel bad for him too. So
Right.
his dad has turned him into like a viral star.
He's good for his age, but the thing
Yeah.
is, a lot of those guys that get pumped up at a young age, and when they don't pan out, it just weighs an immeasurable, mental, hurt on them, psychological toll.
It's weird that this many people are watching a 10-year-old and be like, this dude's going to be a beast. Look
Like,
at him.
It's
He
TikTok.
might not grow.
Mhm.
Like I was probably Baby Gronk size when I was 10, 11 years old. And guess what? I'm still Baby Gronk size right now. Sometimes you just don't grow. I'm more of a Baby Gronk than that Baby Gronk is.
I can't believe you've been standing this whole time.
I actually haven't. I took a seat, but I'm holding the microphone, spitting chiclet style. I'm just trying to figure out, I'm trying to experiment with new positions, keep things fresh on this show.
Do you know what Baby Gronk's real name is?
I almost don't want to know because I do feel weird, like
On Twitter?
with the whole discussion.
What is it?
Do you not want me to tell you?
Can you tell me
Are
his
we-
first name?
Well, his first name is the good part. It's Madden.
Okay, that's cool.
So his Instagram handle is Madden San Miguel, which I thought was like, I didn't think that was his real name. It turns out that's his real name.
Okay, well if you want to go check him out on Instagram, it's fucking weird that we have like a 10-year-old on Instagram, on TikTok.
I guarantee this dude starts doing steroids sophomore year of high school.
Yeah, it's like those 7-year-olds have six packs because their parents are like, I need this.
Yeah.
This
Baby
is-
Gronk
it's
is paying his own
creepy.
mortgage.
It's creepy as fuck. It's like, but we talked about this on part of my take a while ago, but back in the day, like hundreds of years ago, you'd have 9 kids because you had a farm that you had to look after. And so every morning they would help, wake up early, go out, collect the eggs, somebody go out, plow the field, somebody take care of the horses. They contributed to the family farm and to the family well-being. Nowadays, people have kids and they're like, okay, well, Baby Gronk's going to be on TikTok, so that's going to bring in some money. We got to get our daughter up early in the
Streaming.
morning so that she can be an Instagram influencer, and then they're going to contribute to it. And then the parents just take all their money. It's not.
Listen.
This is a bad situation that Baby Gronk's found himself in through no fault of his own.
At least he's
Um,
rizzing up Livy Dunn, though.
I'm just
He
saying.
did rizz up Livy Dunn, so we should talk about that.
That's a
Can you
crime.
explain to me?
That's
can
a
you
crime.
explain to me what those words mean? First of all,
So the whole thing, if you haven't been following the Baby Gronk, Drip King, Livy Dunn love triangle.
wait, there's Drip King.
This is the
Yeah,
first
dude.
time I've ever felt old.
No,
I
don't think we
respect
should
one
talk
Drip
about-
King, and that's Rick Pitino.
No, so I guess Drip King is this like I didn't know.
He's a UMass face-off lacrosse player.
Yeah, so the
And-
original Billy football, or
No.
he's what Billy football could have been.
No. Just like he got his Drip King status came from his pretty cool eye black tutorials. So you know how like girls do makeup tutorials. This guy was doing eye black tutorials.
Get ready with me for my lacrosse game.
Yeah, and he had some pretty tough face paint.
It's like what was the girl's name? Jenna Marbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Jenna Marbles tutorial, but it's like how to trick people into thinking that you're actually good at lacrosse, and it's just you putting crazy eye black on your face.
Yeah.
But he's a face-off guy, so he has a lot of time on his hands. They're a specialist in lacrosse, so it'd be kind of like if a kicker had a social media presence.
Oh. huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of them do actually.
Yeah.
No, but like was calling like if a college kicker like was doing crazy eye black and was like the drip
Well, the drip king.
kick king the drip kick instead of the drop kick.
Yeah, but I guess I don't really know what the.
It's
there's
just really
a,
stupid.
There was a stupid TikTok that proves that this person isn't literate, and it's this weird guy in a weird voice being like, "Did you guys see that baby Gronk rizzed up Livy Dunn on his official visit to LSU? Mind you, he's 11, and he's like, Livy Dunn even hugged baby Gronk. What do you guys think? Will
Crime.
baby Gronk bring LSU a national championship in 2030? And it's just like it's a sad look into today's society.
This guy's
unfortunately.
the guy's funny though. The guy that made the video, I'm pretty sure he's doing all
Is
this
it
stuff as a
satire?
joke. Yeah. I think it's pretty funny, but it's also weird that we know this much about like Livy Dunn and
Yeah.
Baby Gronk and Drip King. So
Yeah.
Baby Gronk gave Livy Dunn a hug.
A hug.
Or who hugged whom?
I believe that baby Gronk initiated it.
Baby Gronk gave Livy a side
It
hug.
looks like
It's just really weird. I can't believe we're talking about this. It's a crime. Livy Dunn is
it looks
over
like she went
18.
in for the hug and he did a little side
Okay, so
action.
Livy Dunn, criminal.
Livy Dunn criminal initiated.
And he tattoo. This is obviously not a real tattoo, but there's a video.
Oh, yeah.
He like wrote her name on his arm. It says Livy.
also a crime.
Which person did that?
Baby
Baby
Gronk.
Gronk.
I thought that was the Drip King.
No. There's
Oh, wait.
I hate everything
We can
about
move
this
on
so
from
much.
this.
Like this
Yeah.
kid's dad, I was reading
this
an
is Baby
interview
Gronk.
that Football Scoop did with his dad. His dad seems kind of like,
screwless.
yeah. Apparently he's DM'd Jack Mac a bunch of times trying to get Jack Mac to like do TikTok videos about his kid.
What?
Like, and that's how he's going to these schools. Like he's DMing these colleges being like, hey, you need baby Gronk on campus. Like it'll be great social exposure.
They
And then-
should lock this dad up.
Yeah, it's like
There
child
should be-
exploitation.
This is like
There should be a dad jail, just like dads that not necessarily break the law, but break
dad law.
dad law.
who's Michael
And-
Jackson's dad?
Morals.
Mr. Jackson?
Joe Jackson. Joe Jackson. This is like Joe Jackson vibes.
What other dads should be in dad jail?
LeVar Ball should not be in dad jail. LeVar Ball got 2 kids in the NBA. Like it worked.
It's a thin line though. Like Tiger Woods' dad made him the greatest golfer of all time.
What's that 130 for 30 of that guy who had the fucked
Todd
up
Marinovich.
Yeah,
Yeah, dad
that
jail.
guy's on heroin.
That's this guy vibes, kind of.
Yep.
And he wasn't that
Yeah.
he like made his son like run home with him in the car.
no,
Yeah.
he made him robo QB.
Yeah,
Put a ton of.
I liked that 30 for 30. Him.
Yeah, he should be in dad jail. LeVar Ball was interesting because he did need to go to dad probation for a little bit.
In
He was put in dad probation. I think his kids told him like, "Hey, you got to shut up for a little bit because you're going to ruin our careers." But he, say what you want about him. 2 out of 3 kids are outstanding NBA players.
Well,
so.
he
In
may have
LiAngelo-
ruined Lonzo's career because he was wearing those dog shit shoes, and now he may never be able to play again.
is
That's
Lonzo
true.
still hurt?
Yeah, they think he may never come back.
Alec Baldwin, dad jail,
Yeah.
Yeah.
big time. Woody Allen,
Jose
dad jail.
Canseco.
Hosey.
Woody Allen, huge dad jail.
Huge dad jail.
Maybe real jail too.
Yeah,
Mel Gibson, didn't he leave like crazy voicemails
That was Alec
for
no,
Baldwin.
his
that's Alec
daughter?
Baldwin.
I
Mel
thought it was
Gibson,
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson also should be in dad jail because he did weird shit with his kids.
Mel Gibson did weird shit with his
Not
kids?
weird shit like bad, like real jail, but like not nice to his kids. I don't think.
Well,
Chris Benoit, dad jail.
come on.
Who's that?
Oh,
come
too
on.
soon.
Who's Chris Benoit?
Lock him up.
Don't worry about it.
I'll
But
tell you later.
Yeah. Who else should be in
That
dad
guy,
jail?
Chris Watts, that he's in real jail, but he killed his wife, his pregnant wife.
Okay,
and
you
2
okay?
kids.
No
You know-
more
Yeah,
people
yeah.
who killed their families.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
they go
That's
to real jail.
That's
Oh,
yeah.
I just looked up Chris Benoit.
Yeah. Yes. If you murder your whole family, go real jail for sure.
That
Every
Chris,
time-
the Chris Watts story is wild.
Yeah.
too.
Every
Like
time
that guy, that guy is such a liar. In addition
Yeah.
to being just a true human monster, but sometimes the lack of awareness on criminals just amazes me. Like after he's being investigated and his family's all missing, he's giving these interviews to the press and he's smiling and he doesn't even know how to look sad. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll do more interviews. Sure, yeah, I'm looking good."
That's psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a psychopath.
Who else could be in dad jail?
Dad jail.
Joe Jackson.
O.J. Simpson.
Oh, who is the dude? Marvin Gaye's dad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, correct, Mr. Gay.
No, I think O.J. Simpson is in dad heaven.
I was gonna
because
say,
he
if you
defended
believe
his
Billy,
son.
he's
Yeah.
an all-time
All-time
goat
dad?
dad.
Yeah, goat
Yeah.
dad.
But if
Dad of the year.
But if OJ did it, then he killed the mom.
Again,
No,
if
no,
you kill
they had no
people,
kids.
yes, yes.
had no kids
No more
together.
people who were killed people.
They,
Sorry.
they didn't have any kids together.
Oh.
He had.
Another dad jail guy, George H.W. Bush, should have been in dad jail.
Why is that?
Why?
Actually, no. He might be in dad heaven after we get through this next conspiracy theory.
Well, he should have told Jeb to be president back in 2000 instead of W. He should have been like, W, listen, I love you. I love you to death, son.
But you're not serious people.
But maybe just stick with being the owner of the New York Rangers.
He
or
was
we'll
gonna
get
be
you
the
the spot
commissioner
as
of baseball.
commissioner. And I always say that he would have been the greatest baseball commissioner of all time.
Absolutely.
Jeb was way too low energy. Yeah, I mean, he literally smoked way too much weed in high school.
But he would have he was up against Al Gore, who's the king of low energy.
I went to a Jeb rally.
Did you clap?
He did a he did a tour of SEC schools in 2015, and he was at UT the day of the Tennessee Georgia game in 2015. Great comeback, by the way. We're down, I believe, 24-3. Came back and won the game. And there was probably a couple hundred people. It was in like the main quad area, and I forget anything he said, but it was that was back when he still was probably considered the front runner at that point, like fall of 2015. And so it was like, I was like, oh, that's cool. I'll go check that out.
Yeah. How was his speech?
It was good. I don't recall anything about it specifically, but
And then.
I
would
still have a
say-
selfie with him somewhere.
George Bush.
Oh, we got to
Jeb.
put that on the Macrodose
Yeah.
Instagram.
That's funny.
Trump in dad jail or no?
Ooh, kind of. He called Tiffany ugly.
Trump's dad might be dad jail. Older brother drank himself to death
Yeah.
because of the pressure.
I'm trying
There's
to think.
there's a certain very successful NFL coach. I feel bad saying it, but probably also dad jail.
Buddy
for
Ryan.
him. No, dad heaven.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about current NFL coach.
Yeah. I think he tried his best.
He might have, yeah. I don't know enough of the details, but results.
Moving on.
Urban Meyer dad jail?
No, just real jail, probably.
Really? You think?
No, that was consensual. You could tell.
Yeah, but I mean,
Still gross. Still can be in dad jail.
if you're a
Still, but that's
dad,
like
you
dad
shouldn't be
jail.
doing
That is
that.
dad
What about daddy jail? With daddies out there,
No.
locked up.
Who's your first ballot for daddy jail, PFT?
First ballot daddy jail. Shit. I don't know. I feel weird even answering this question.
Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo.
Is that
Yeah.
the hot one?
No.
Is that the hot one?
What?
They're both hot.
They actually threw him in jail
Is he
because
the one that's like a news reporter?
no, he's the one
That's
that
the hot one.
everyone was worshiping. They were like Cuomo daddy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, UFO whistleblower hot take. It was a cover up for the new Biden whistleblower. Didn't hear about that same day.
Which Biden whistleblower?
The one that the FBI can't keep alive
What do you mean?
if they reveal his name. If you look up Biden whistleblower,
No, I saw that there was a story. There was a briefing that was given to Congress by the FBI who said that somebody came forward with evidence of multi-million-dollar bribes that Biden was taking when he was vice president, and they investigated it, and they said that they can't find a crime. That's what I've read that the FBI said. But there was somebody that alleged a crime.
I don't really want to get into it, but I think there might be a little misdirection on the UFO stuff.
Okay, all right. I was thinking about it more, And the more I think about it, and this ties into today's episode of Project Stargate, the more I think that this dude just said that we found an alien aircraft in order to make China and Russia think that we found alien aircraft and we've got technology that they don't even know about.
There's some what I know you probably just looked at surface level CIA documents on Project Stargate, but if you get into like the origins of why they think that and everything, and it like dates back to ancient Mesopotamia, and it gets wild.
I did not go all the way back to Mesopotamia. I'll be honest.
Are you going to let him call you surface level?
I just was about to say.
Yeah, whatever Billy thinks is surface level, though. Right? If Billy thinks something surface level, that just means that he thinks that aliens are hiding underneath it. So I don't know how much I can put in that stock. I did do a lot of research though,
like
into Project Stargate.
You probably just like have the released CIA documents, Joseph McMoneagle, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I have a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, have you even gotten into the Iraqi-Anglo War?
When it comes to Project Stargate?
Yeah.
I have not. So I'm looking forward to being illuminated.
Little sneak peek. It's some fascinating historical fiction, if that's all it is.
I would like to read more historical fiction.
Well,
but that's why I have Billy.
I might write this as a book or a blog.
Okay. Permission granted. What else do we want to get into today?
I watched Dark Knight. It was too scary for me.
What part?
All
You're
of it.
a chicken.
I just am not a scary movie person, and I don't like the Joker. He's scary, and I don't like. It was too high. It was too high intensity.
I think that was the greatest acting performance.
What, Heath Ledger?
Yeah, like if you play the Joker and don't die immediately after, then you didn't do the Joker right.
Okay.
That's the standard.
Okay.
Method acting.
See, like I liked I enjoy Heath Ledger more in like 10 Things I Hate About You. That's like more my vibe.
Was that like a rom?
Yeah, he was a lot less scary in 10 Things I Hate About
Yeah,
You
just
than
a
he was the
little.
dark hot take, Mad Dog.
But it was so I couldn't get past like an hour and a half in. I had to stop.
What part scared you? What was your
I don't like shooting, and I don't like the
pencils?
What?
Oh, didn't get that part.
I don't like how he puts the knife in his mouth and he's like, I don't know how I got these scars. I don't like that shit. And also Christian Bale just kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies as like a general person.
Well, did you watch American Psycho before?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it threw you off. Okay. Did you get? To see
I've got a couple of other nominations for Dad Jail.
Oh, who?
God.
Wow, yeah.
What do you think about that?
Explain.
He sent his only son to Earth to have him killed.
Yeah, did you read the rest of the story or?
No, I kind of tapped out. I lost focus.
Okay,
Something else was on.
you should go check out. It ends well. You should check
You know what's
it out.
funny about that?
But he sent his dad down there to get him tortured, or his son down there to get him tortured for however many hours or days, and then okay, you're gonna die for 3 days, then you can come back home.
But then he came back and then basically died again. That's what
Explain.
he goes. He ascends his throne in heaven, which is basically dying again.
I think both of y'all need to do some more reading.
So he comes back. He says hi to Mary.
Hey, girl.
He says what's up to his disciples, and then he just goes back to heaven.
Mm-hmm. That's not dying.
Kinda.
It's eternal life.
Okay.
What about Abraham? Can we say that Abraham?
Oh yeah, he almost
Dad
killed.
Jill?
Just following orders.
He almost killed his son.
You know who else is following orders?
Okay.
Big T.
No. Again,
No, he was giving orders. He
Also,
was
read
giving
the
orders.
story.
No, I'm okay. The story is that Abraham was told by God, "Bring your son to the top of this mountain and kill him, because it will please me."
Mm-hmm.
Abraham did as he was told,
And
brought
then,
his son up there,
and then
was
what
about
happened?
to kill him, and then God told him, "Psych."
not the verbiage I would use, but yes, God did say, "Don't do it."
Old Testament God is a little more
saying,
fun.
yeah, Old Testament
He was
God
a
is
little more
Gronk.
fun. Yeah.
Is Gronk. New Testament God is Kelsey. But Abraham was going to do it. That's why I'm saying put Abraham in dad jail.
I mean, like Old Testament God was a little more like classical Greek myth God, like a little more God with a fault, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like New Testament God's like He's too goody two shoes. He's like wants what's best for humanity.
Couldn't play in this era.
New Testament God is woke.
Yeah.
Talk about Muhammad, cowards. You won't do it. You only do the religions that you know won't kill you.
I'll be
That
honest.
is true. I'll talk some shit.
I'll be honest. I don't know that much about the Quran. It's something that I have to do more research into to be a well-rounded biblical scholar.
I'm pretty sure Allah was in the Quran is pretty New Testament God too. I don't think he did any fun, like cool fuck around shit.
Any fun stuff?
Like, oh, psych, you didn't have to kill your kid.
What were we talking about before I sidetracked us back to dad jail and then almost got everybody in the office killed?
Dark Knight.
No.
Dark Knight.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, Dark Knight's just a scary movie, and people are like, "Bah, bah, bah." It's not scary. It is scary. I don't like people being killed.
It's not that scary. It's just a good movie.
It's a great movie.
Also, like,
Aren't you into true crime?
how is that true crime? It's not real.
I feel like true crime is way scarier than fake crime.
I don't like
I
it
agree.
happening in front of my face. I don't like it happening in front of my face. I don't like looking at it. I don't like guns. I don't like a shoot 'em up movie, and I also don't like PTSD in the beginning of the movie when it's the bank robbery and the masks. PTSD to when I got chased.
Oh yeah,
People
that's
are
scary.
talking. So I don't know. Just not my game. Not my
What's
thing.
it, a clown mask?
No, it was like a Jabberwocky's mask, but like
Oh,
same
that's
idea.
Fucking scary.
But not my thing. Big T, you might like it, but I'm too scary.
I don't think so.
I have to say, speaking of Batman movies,
We are in Gotham.
that the new Batman movie with Robert
Pattinson.
Pattinson, that is the filter that's outside.
It's sepia
Yeah, it's
outside right
sepia.
now.
Yeah.
Are there people out there taking a lot of pictures for Instagram?
Oh, every
Yes.
Instagram story I'm seeing right now.
Should we like dress up like
Old timey.
Batman and take a picture? That'd be pretty cool.
If you go outside in a forest fire, that's a hot girl walk, baby.
So true.
Smoking, leaving a trail behind me.
You know what? I'm gonna be if you take a bunch of kegs with a bunch of dudes, go out to those forests, we can put out some of those fires.
How long is this gonna last? Like, how long are we
No,
gonna
that's
be
the
feeling
thing.
like
It's
this?
not. This is gonna be like until they put all of them out.
What?
Because think about it, there's smoke that hasn't hit us yet. Like you know how
Yeah.
they say that the sun, like the light from the sun that hits Earth is like 2 years old.
Yeah.
Like the smoke that we're getting now is like 3 days old, and the fires are still burning.
I know,
So
but
we
it
have
was
3
in
more
like
days.
Minneapolis and like Wisconsin, and then it came down. So like,
Well,
when's it gonna leave us and head up to like Vermont or wherever? It goes?
No. It came
Isn't it
straight
coming
down.
down?
What we really needed was that rain yesterday. That rain yesterday would have been great, but the only rain we have on the forecast is till Sunday because there is the element of the smoke blocking out the sun and the heat, so there's no evaporated water, so that it starts raining.
There's a wind would help out, right?
Wind, if we got some wind.
It was really
Build
windy
the
yesterday.
fan.
Build a fan, exactly. And word on the street is it's impacting flights, right? Like people are having a hard time flying out of New York.
Yeah,
I
I
would
think
lo-
they just shut down all flights into LaGuardia and JFK. I don't know about out of.
Wow.
Well, that's interesting because as Jeff D. Lowe just pointed out on Twitter, the dozen tournament is later on
Oh.
today. If you're listening to this on Thursday, and I'm in Chicago right now. Jeff's in Chicago. I think Brandon Walker's in Chicago right now. We're ready to go. I mean, if we're here, we're ready to play. We shouldn't be punished if other teams can't make it out there,
Yeah,
right?
Is that like a win by default?
Yeah.
What about if your team
Forfeit?
ruins the show for thousands of people and spoils the results?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
It's already
Don't worry,
happened, Billy.
I know, but we're just holy fuck.
You know what the worst people are? Speaking that big T, is the spoilers people that also then spoil it.
Yeah.
It's like everybody knows the answer already because I heard Brandon talking on this YouTube show earlier today. So I assume that everyone else knows too.
Yeah.
And then they spoil it. But yeah, I mean, it'd be a shame. Brandon and I don't want to speak for Fran because I know that she'd probably agree, but we're true competitors, Brandon and I. And so if we're going to do something, we're going to do it whole last. I moved to Chicago basically for the dozen tournament because I knew that the finals would be here. I wanted to be prepared. I wanted to be in my hometown before the match even started. Brandon flew in a day early for the finals, just in case something weird happened with travel. Seems nobody else did anything like that to prepare. So speaking for Brandon and myself, I mean, we did everything that we should have done. We did all the right things. We shouldn't be punished for this. We're ready to go.
Dude, I actually just looked outside on the internet, and it is way worse.
It's so
No,
This
those
morning or
pictures,
yesterday?
No,
those
it's
pictures
eerie.
look way worse than like if you walk outside, it does not look
It
like
does.
No,
Dude,
I think it does. You can
oh,
see like
yeah.
through the cracks.
Can
here.
we open these?
I don't
Yeah, we-
know
we can
because they look
open
like
it.
they're from the outside.
You know, you
I would
just
like
gotta-
to just rewind for a second and replay what Billy just said.
That he
The
looked-
sentence that
looked
he
outs-
just uttered, which was, "I just looked outside on the internet."
Yeah, wait.
Yeah, that was a terrible sentence. I'm sorry, but I just saw a live stream of like one of like the live cams in the city, and looked at it, and I was like, "Holy fuck, that is worse."
From
than
the
it
ground,
was.
it looks nothing like that.
No, it does.
It's
I'm
bad.
glad I'm not there.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that you guys have to deal with it.
I'm glad I brought my mask.
Yeah.
This is actually worth masking up for. But I'm now like no one's gonna want to play pickup basketball. Fuck,
God forbid.
Yeah.
It's
What are
such
you gonna
great,
do?
it's such great temperature.
Can't you play pickup basketball inside?
Yeah, but then you have to find court space. It's like, and it's different rules.
Oh.
Indoor basketball has different rules than outdoor basketball. It's just a psychological thing.
Billy only plays street rules.
Yeah, what?
Prison rules. Rambo time.
If you call a foul, you get punched.
No, it's like you got to make your fouls count, because then if they get it in, they don't call the foul. So you better make sure they don't score. Like they can't have any possibility.
So
of
you're just
scoring.
decking people in
no.
pickup basketball
Nope.
games in Hoboken.
Nope.
Well, I've seen you do it in organized basketball games. I can only imagine
that-
what you're doing when it's
that-
prison rules.
That's. Oh man.
Do you guys want to get into the topic extra early today?
Yeah, because there's a lot to cover.
There is. I want to get this started with a psychic experiment of our own, if that's okay.
Okay.
Is that cool?
I actually had
Big-
one planned.
Okay, well, you can do yours next.
Okay.
I knew that you were going to have one, Billy. That's how psychic I am. So I already prepared and I'm ready to go right off the bat, and then we'll get to you. Big T, do you have any ethical or moral objections to participating in a psychic experiment?
I don't know until you do it.
It's not a cult. It's not an occult thing. It doesn't involve Satan. It doesn't involve religion. What I'm going to do is I have a piece of paper here, and I'm going to draw something on this piece of paper. All right? And Big T, I want you to close your eyes, and I want
Okay,
you to
O's.
I want you to envision me drawing it right now on this piece of paper. Are they closed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you see me drawing anything?
No, can I open my eyes?
No, I want you to, okay, close your eyes and just imagine, what do you see that surprises you? Is there anything that's jumping into your eyes that you weren't expecting to see?
No.
Think about anything. Think about any sort of image, that the first one that pops to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
I'm not going to tell you. It's a
Tell me what-
I thought it has to be a secret.
No, you're trying to guess what I just drew.
Oh, you drew a house.
What kind of house are we talking about?
Like square, triangle roof, 2 little windows, door.
Are you sure it's a house?
Of course not. My eyes are
It's
closed.
a building.
Okay. What I drew was
What?
a
What?
house
What?
without windows. No
What?
door, but that was a house with a triangle roof and a
He-
square house.
Yeah, you probably drew it after I said that.
All right, you're good.
I
You're
mean,
smart.
you take me for some sort of moron.
gotta wake up pretty early in the morning to fool Big T.
I was born at night. It wasn't last night, though.
So there's this thing called remote viewing, which I'm very interested in. Remote viewing is pretty much just ESP, but it's given a name that is not ESP to make it sound more official. But people that do remote viewing, they claim that they can see things that they're not present for. So the United States military has used these type of people to look overseas at military installations before, try to figure out what's there if they can't get a drone above or if they can't send troops in. And then they say what they see, and then the military claims that has been effective before. I think it's kind of all bullshit. but I do like the idea that it could be true.
What's ESP?
Extrasensory perception.
perception.
Yeah.
When did that get used?
Always.
How did you guys know what ESP meant before?
It's you ever watch that So Raven?
Oh, that's where it got.
No, ESP has been around
People
for
have said that
a
forever.
long time.
I just didn't know that you guys knew it so well. I don't know. I knew what ESP was, but I didn't know like everyone knew what ESP
Wait.
was.
30 seconds ago, you said, what is ESP?
No, like extrasensory perception.
Am I in crazy town right now? This guy just said, what is ESP? We explained it. He said, how did you know what that is? He goes, yeah, I knew what that was, extrasensory perception. I just didn't know that other people knew that.
No. I didn't know people refer, like I've heard of it, but the fact that you knew as soon as he said ESP, it was ESP. Like
Are you doing? Oh, you were doing a bit.
I'm not doing a bit. I didn't.
Am
I'm not
I
doing
in
a bit.
crazy land?
I was like,
no, you're
am
not
I
in crazy land,
insane?
Big T.
No,
you're not.
where did you guys, what mode of content or like popular culture did you guys get ESP from?
I probably read it or
It's just like
saw
a
it on
thing.
TV when I was 5. I don't know, like a long time ago.
I just didn't know it was so common.
Yeah, so the acronym ESP, extrasensory perception, could mean anything. All it means is what are your 5 senses? You've got your sight, your smell, your taste, your touch. What am I leaving out?
Taste?
Are we stupid? No, he said that.
Sight, smell, taste,
touch.
Oh, hearing.
Ah,
Yeah, there we go. That's the 5th.
Ironic.
So, yeah, exactly. So those are your 5 senses, and anything outside of those 5 is considered extrasensory perception. So ESP might actually there are parts of it that probably exist. Like some people do have a sense of danger. Some people can tell when like dogs, animals, the hair stands up on their back, but that's might be tied into something that they hear, or it might be tied into something that they don't even know that they sense through one of the other 5 senses. Just gives them like a sense of fear. But anything outside those would be considered ESP. So whether or not you're like reading a mind or you're seeing something that's not in front of you that somebody else is looking at, that would all be considered ESP. But yeah, have you guys delved into the world of psychics at all before this?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you believe in psychics?
Well, like the ones that talk to the dead or predict your future, they all just speak in very generalized terms, and then use prompts from you to sort of make their make what they're saying sound true. So like they say someone's in the room. Is it it's an older man, and of course an older man an older man's more likely, you're more likely to know an older man who's dead, as opposed to like there's a little boy, because older men, next step, they die. Like having a someone die who's a child in your life is rarer. So if like Big T was coming to a psychic to talk to one of his relatives, like he definitely has a dead relative who was an older man.
Yeah.
And then they prompt from there.
Yeah, they do cold readings where people walk in, and if somebody would look at Billy, they would just size him up real quick and then be like, I bet you're like unsure about what you want to do for the rest of your life. I bet sometimes you doubt yourself. I bet there's some also some sense where you feel like you're growing up too fast and that you should be having more fun, and that you're not able to, that you're wasting seconds, and that you're probably an athlete too, aren't you? You probably played sports, but you're not in sports now. You're not a professional athlete. Sometimes you probably think about what the world would be like if you had played sports harder.
Okay.
Like that's all stuff that a normal cold reading would give you just based on looking at Billy.
You know who actually does that? Joe Biden.
Does he?
Yeah. So Joe Biden has a line that when he meets like a guy with like broad shoulders, he goes, "Oh, you look like you can still play." And he says that, and it makes them feel good. Like, oh yeah. Like, but he says that to multiple people and like one person reported that they said it to him, and then he heard him say the exact same line to another guy.
It's actually not a bad
yeah.
line.
I
He's
mean,
like,
you
he's
gotta
using the
have a
same pickup
go-to line if you're meeting that many people.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look like you could still play. That would probably make me feel good if somebody told me that.
Yeah. So
He usually just relies on his sense of smell, though. He's not an ESP guy. But yeah, ESP, anything that does not involve the primary senses, it's been alleged that you can that some people have extra sensors that they can use to like figure out weird shit about you, or like they said, see the future, tell you something about your past. You get a lot of mediums on television too. It's like once every 15 years there's like a new medium or a new psychic person that is all of a sudden in the national conversation, like Miss Cleo. Remember her?
No.
Call Me Now. You don't remember Miss Cleo? Big T, you know Miss Cleo?
I know the name. I did not know that was like a television program, or that's. I think that's a little before our time.
Am I the only one in the room?
I know the name.
Do the M&Ms know? Mad Dog
I don't
McKenzie?
think
Cleo?
so.
No.
Is there like a new psychic?
Long Island
John
Medium.
Edwards. Long Island
I was a
Medium,
big
yeah.
Long Island medium girl,
Yeah, me too.
and a shock to no one.
But yeah, it's John Edwards has been one for a while. Uri Geller was probably the first, and we can get to him in a little bit. Uri Geller was on TV for like 3 decades, still is occasionally. Bottom line is these people are fun to have on a morning show when they want to talk to somebody lighthearted and just have them do a trick for them and be wowed by it. But then a lot of people start to believe in it. Also, horoscopes are kind of that same type of thing. Like you get a vibe from the stars, and then you tell people something vague about their future, about who they are, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's totally me." There's an experiment that somebody did in college one time. I forget the school where it was based out of, but they took a horoscope reading. They didn't tell everybody that it was a horoscope reading, and the next day in class, the teacher passed out little paragraphs to every student and said, I thought about you and your progress in this class. This is what I think about you as a student. Can you give me a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, how accurate you think it is? And everybody in the class gave him a 9 or a 10 on how accurate it was. And then he collected the papers, looked at it, and was like, well, this was actually just taken out of the newspaper from yesterday. It's the same horoscope reading for everybody that I gave you. It's the same paragraph. And everybody was like, oh yeah, that's totally me.
Oh, that's funny.
So that's kind of how horoscopes work.
Oh, so it's like they thought that it was true because of the horoscope they read the day before? Or
No, they thought it was accurate because horoscopes are written in such a vague way. Like when I told if I know that you're like somebody in your early 20s, I can say a lot of vague things about what you are as a person. Like I bet sometimes you feel really accomplished in your job, and other times you're not so sure about whether or not you're doing everything that you have to be doing in order to get ahead. And everybody's like, "Oh yeah, that's me."
That's
me.
like
Also,
the tarot card readers on TikTok. I get those so often. That's when like I know I'm down bad because I keep getting them. But all the comments are like, "I claim this. Like you know me so well." I'm like, they all say the exact same thing.
Or if you're talking like I've heard people say this to women before. It's like I bet a lot of people think that you're intimidating or that you can come across, a little too severe sometimes, but that's just what you have to do in order to get ahead as like a strong person.
Mm-hmm.
And then every woman's like, yeah, that's totally me.
Yeah, that's so me.
No, that literally is so me.
That's so me. But yeah, let's get into the actual Project Stargate, because it is centered around ESP and psychic abilities and mediums and all that shit. Billy, I was going to say that it started in 1972, but I think Mesopotamia predates that a little bit.
No, this actually has nothing to do with the CIA project, and it went down a totally crazy wormhole of I'm just going to focus on the history, but I have some crazy shit that we'll put in after.
Okay. All right. So Project Stargate was rooted in the Cold War, and it was during a time where we were living in constant fear of getting nuked by the Soviets, and they were in constant fear of getting nuked by us. And so we're spending a fuckload of money on our defense budgets, and so was the Soviet Union. And we were deathly afraid of falling behind them in anything, whether it was a space race or just rocket capabilities, surveillance capabilities, things like that. So anything that we found out that the Soviets were investing money into, we automatically were like, well, we have to invest money into that and try to get ahead of them. Same thing was happening on the other side. And the space race is like case in point of that. I guess we both just thought it'd be a good idea to get to the moon and see who would get there faster. We won, not to brag, but we did, just a fact. But there were a lot of things like that. A lot of things in the defense budgets that we started to spend money on just because we knew the Soviets were also spending money on them. And we didn't want them to be better at anything in the military than we were, just in case that was going to give them a significant leg up. And the more I talk about it and think about it, the more I think to myself, like, what if the Cold War really wasn't that dangerous? What if it wasn't as dangerous as we were being told? Because it was a great excuse for a lot of people to spend a lot of money and give money to a lot of very rich, powerful, important people, especially like the defense industry and defense contractors. Like having an entire population of the two superpowers live in constant fear that they could die at any second is a very powerful tool to have if you're trying to figure out how to raise more money from people. It's like, no, every dollar that you give us, we're spending it to keep you safe because you could die if you don't pay us your taxes. And guess what? We're going to have to raise taxes a little bit next year because we still don't want you to die. And there's this new cool missile. And if we just get this cool missile, then you guys really won't die. And also, we're going to make you hate this other side of the world. So not only are you afraid of them because you're afraid that they're going to kill you, but you also hate them. So you want to spend more money in weapons that we can then use to kill them instead. It was like a very powerful time to be somebody with an unlimited defense budget. You could do whatever you wanted, essentially. I don't know if you guys have ever thought about that. Like we're always told that we were about to get blown up during the Cold War and that everybody was afraid, which they were. But I wonder how dangerous it actually was.
It's probably more dangerous now than it was that. Actually, never mind. From maybe the Cuban Missile Crisis, but like right now we have a land war in Europe. Mm-hmm. That wasn't happening during the Cold War.
Right. There were some skirmishes here and there. Like there were proxy wars.
But those proxy wars, what do you think in the Balkans Peninsula?
Afghanistan.
Yeah.
But isn't that something just interesting to think about? It's like how much danger were we in during the Cold War versus how much was drummed up to keep us spending and keep us scared. Interesting debate to be had with yourself. We'll probably never know. But the original point was that the U.S. government would spend on anything that the Russians were spending on, that the Soviet Union was spending on. And in around 1972, maybe a couple of years before that, there was some CIA chatter about Russians that had the ability to bend spoons with their brains and to move spoons on a table. There was even a video that went around of some old lady in Moscow, I think, that had a bunch of silverware and plates and shit on a table, and she was just staring down at it, and she was manipulating the table to make it look like they were moving. And so this memo started to get circulated around the CIA, and people were like, well, if Russia, if there's a small chance that they've figured out how to use ESP or how to use their brain, they've learned the force. How can we let Russia look into this and we won't look into it on our own? Because that would be very dangerous if they had the ability and we don't have the ability. So in 1972, we started funding a program called Scanate. And we had the Stanford Research Institute look into whether or not this type of remote viewing was possible. We want to know if it was possible to sit somewhere in San Francisco and then be able to see what's going on inside the Kremlin over in Russia. So we started funding that. And the Stanford Research Institute is actually like they're a legitimate research institute. They've developed a shitload of inventions, a bunch of chemicals and stuff that we still use to this day. They've developed a lot of stuff for the United States military. Basically, they're a think tank research institute that has some of the smartest people in the world working for them to just try to solve problems or figure out ways to use different elements or chemicals to save people money, save corporations money, create new inventions, things like that. So we decided to put that on their plate. And they did an experiment, and they claimed that some people in this experiment had an accuracy rate of over 65% being able to tell what things were if they were just sitting in a room trying to imagine what somebody else was looking at. So that'd be a crazy, crazy high hit rate. And then I looked more into what the experiment was. Did you guys look into what the experiment was? Okay. So what they did, they would take somebody and they would lock them in a room. So it would be like Billy and Big T sitting in New York together. And then Big T would know that there were 10 different places around New York. So let's just say it's happening in New York. There are 10 different places in New York that Mad Dog and Mackenzie were about to go out to. Right? And he didn't know which order they were going to go out. But let's just say it was like the New York Public Library, Statue of Liberty, Grand Central Station, Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, these types of landmarks. And then Mackenzie Mad Dog would just choose, okay, we're going to go to the Statue of Liberty, and we're not going to tell Big T or Billy where we're going. And then once we get there, we'll call them, let them know that we're there. And then Big T will ask Billy, close your eyes and try to see what it is Mad Dog and Mackenzie are looking at right now. And then I want you to describe it to me. And so he would do that. And then the next day, Big T would take Billy out and show him the place, be like, this is what they looked at the day before. Then they'd take a third party. Let's say they'd ask Arian. They'd be like, Arian, I want you to take a look at this description that I have typed out. It's all the words that Billy used to describe what he thought he saw during the remote viewing yesterday when he was locked inside the room. And I'm going to take you out to Grand Central Station, Citi Field, Statue of Liberty, and I want you to match up Billy's description with the place that Mackenzie and Mad Dog actually went out to. And they claim that they got over 65% correct results in this, which when you do that 10 times in a row, to have that randomly happen where Billy's descriptions would randomly sync up and Arian would be able to tell exactly which place Billy had described with his eyes closed in a room, not seeing anything, that would have been the chances of that happening by luck would be like 1 in a billion. So the Stanford Research Institute was like, well, this is legit. We need to put more funding in it, and we need to see if it can become operational because we have some people that are able to do the impossible right now. What they didn't say at the time, though, was that there were a lot of big flaws in the experiment. So Billy would then go back to the same locked room the next day, and then he'd close his eyes again, and he would say in his new description of the new place that he was looking at remotely, he'd say, like, remember yesterday when we went out and we saw, all the water and you could see the city and we're up by the torch. He would use those descriptions when talking about the new place that he was looking at. So when Arian is going out looking at all these spots, trying to verify what Billy described versus where he's at, if it says, remember yesterday when I was standing up by the torch, Arian would know that the description that he's giving in that write-up is not the Statue of Liberty because the Statue of Liberty visit already happened. So there were a bunch of fuck-ups in this experiment, but the people at Stanford Research Institute said that it was good enough where they should move on and maybe put it operational. So they said that ESP does exist. Is kind of the long and the short of it. And then after Scan8 ended, it got taken over by the Gondola Wish program. And then they put that into operation on the Grill Flame program. These are just terrible names, aren't they? Mm. And they set up an entire shop in Fort Meade, Maryland. And in Fort Meade, they started recruiting people to come out and just be remote viewers and close their eyes and try to figure out what the hell was going on at other places. But at the time, there was one guy, Ray Hyman from the University of Oregon, that said that the Stanford research people were all fucked up, that they weren't getting it right. And he was asked. So Yuri Geller was the guy that we talked about earlier. Did you guys know who Yuri Geller was?
He's the guy that can bend the forks.
Yeah, he was on
Spoons.
every late night show. He became known as America's psychic pretty much, even though he was from Israel. And he would show up on all these shows, and then he'd bend spoons and move shit around with his brain. And he was so good at it, at the sleight of hand, that people actually thought that he was legitimately doing this using the power of his brain. And a bunch of skeptics proved that he wasn't. And he had this one really embarrassing showing on the Johnny Carson show, where he would go there once every 6 months or whatever, and wow Johnny and amaze the crowd and have everybody convinced that he was a psychic. And then it was, who was his name? I think it was the Amazing Randy, the old magician. He told Johnny Carson, next time Yuri comes on the show, follow these steps. Bring your own silverware, keep them in a box, and don't let Yuri's people in the same room as the box, and don't let them get out on stage. And so Carson brings out on stage with him, and he lays all the silverware out. And then Yuri was just like, I don't feel strong today. I feel like I can't do it today. So he just went and sat on the couch on the Johnny Carson show and didn't even try to do that shit. So he was full of shit. But the CIA still, they thought to themselves, like, what if Russia has this? What if the Soviet Union has this ability and we don't have it? So they tried to get Yuri Geller to do remote viewing on Soviet nuclear secrets. They're just like, imagine a Soviet base and tell me what you see there. And they actually like believed some of his analysis of what he was seeing, which wasn't true. But yeah, then in 1977, they made an operational program out of it. And it actually, the crazy part is they had a couple of successes with it. There were a couple like dubs that the remote viewers got.
Yeah.
Did you look into those, Billy?
Yeah, there was this one guy, Joseph McMonigal, and his last name is not spelt like McGonagall. It's McMon Eagle. Mm-hmm. And he was one of these people who the CIA approached because he thought he had innate psychic abilities. He said that due to the alcoholism, abuse, and poverty that surrounded him as a child, that he started to get visions at night, and he started to, get innate abilities to navigate, a difficult childhood that began in his teens. And when he was hitchhiking and out and alone, he joined the army in 1964 at 18 to totally get away from this hard life growing up. And he then subsequently became an experimental remote viewer while serving the U.S. Army intelligence. So he was serving as a chief warrant officer until he was severely injured in a helicopter accident, and then he was sent to work in intelligence. This is when, the Project Stargate was starting. And as of 1978, he was known as Remote Viewer Number 1. And he was based in Fort Meade, Maryland. He had 10 years of service, and he earned Legion of Merit for his work. And miraculously, he said that he was involved in the Iranian hostage crisis, the Red Brigades, and remote viewing Chinese nuclear facilities, and Muammar Gaddafi. He said that he predicted the location and existence of the Soviet Typhoon-class submarine in 1979, and in mid-January 1980, satellite photos confirmed those predictions. McMonigal says the military remote viewing program was ended partly due to stigma. Everybody wanted to use it, but nobody wanted to be caught dead standing next to it. There's an automatic ridicule factor. Oh yeah, psychics. Anybody associated with it could kiss their career goodbye. He had many supporters of his powers, and apparently he was very good at it. And with those tests we talk about, there was a very unique test that McGonagall was given a closed letter with coordinates in it, and he was supposed to talk about what was depicted in there. And this is where it gets very, very interesting. One day, McGonagall was woken from a nap and given a sealed envelope that couldn't be opened until the end of the subsequent viewing session, during which his colleagues dictated coordinates for him to view. He found himself astral projecting to an unfamiliar locale. So this astral projecting is sort of the basis of the remote viewing psychic science, if you will, whereas these remote viewers were able to take their, subconscious self or astral being, quote unquote, and transport themselves to this place. And this is going to be important later because their astral being is very different from their physical being. But the astral being was basically able to navigate space and time, was part of it. And this sort of element of it is very interesting because McGonagall then started to describe where his astral being had transported after being handed this envelope, which he didn't know what the coordinates were. So McGonagall, who often struggles to report the raw data his colleague constantly reminds him to stay focused on. Throughout the viewing, his astonishment overtakes him, leading to tangential periods, sometimes as long as 30 minutes, trying to maintain his focus. When McGonagall went into his viewing state, he described a world inhabited by a civilization in dire shape. He described seeing an infrastructure consisting of intersecting roads, aqueducts, channels, and pyramids. When McGonagall eventually reports contact with living entities, his colleagues tell him to initiate communication with them. He describes their situation as being in critical state, seemingly on the brink of apocalypse. Having purportedly sent members of their civilization on a mission to find a new place to inhabit, these tall, shadowed figures appeared to be in a state of hibernation, awaiting the return of their search party. When he asks if these entities can perceive him, they describe him as something of a hallucination. At the end of the viewing, McGonagall opened his envelope to see where he supposedly projected to. So he didn't know where he was projecting, where his astral being was going. He was just handed this envelope and told to try to go to wherever, they had handed him, but he didn't know. It's like it was a double-blind test. In the envelope, the coordinates and place that he was supposed to go to was Mars, approximately 1 million years BC. So he apparently described, not knowing what was in the envelope, a dying civilization on Mars that included tall, shadowy figures that were on Mars 1 million years ago, and he didn't know what was in the envelope.
Mm-hmm. It's cool to think about, and when you find out that it was on Mars, you're like, oh, holy shit. That's kind of creepy what he thought about. But we also don't know if that actually ever happened on Mars.
Yeah, we don't. But he didn't know that Mars was in the envelope.
Yeah. But again, is this a thing where how many different civilizations or glimpses into human history would fit that same description that you just gave?
But he didn't even know if he was traveling into time. But
right.
If you actually, there's a YouTube video where he describes everything he talked about, and they have in the released documents, they have the exact dialogue, line by line, and he then shows the description of what he was talking about is very similar to the coordinates on Mars that he was given.
Yeah.
And it's, if I don't think we have time, but I recommend going on to, I don't know if we have a good way of projecting it, but basically he describes that there's a crater on Mars, and on the side of the crater, there's a pyramid structure. And he was like, look, if this pyramid was a naturally occurring pyramid, it wouldn't be on top of this crater. The crater would have destroyed it. And it's pretty out there, but I mean, we've just been told that UFOs exist and otherworldly beings were recovered with intact. So, I mean, this stuff's kind of sounding more and more believable. But
yeah, this guy McGonagall was also asked to take a look underneath the Arctic or inside the Arctic Circle at a Soviet military base and describe what you see there. And he said that he sees a submarine with 2 holes in it. And it was a new type of submarine that the Russians were building. And like Billy said, it was confirmed by a satellite picture. But why didn't we just send the satellite over there? Why did we have him?
Well, because he
Like, guess what
predicted
it
it
was first.
before.
Yeah. A satellite with 2 holes. Or sorry, a submarine with 2 holes. That's what he saw. There was another thing where Tupolev 22 spy plane. Billy, are you familiar with that one?
No, you're the plane guy.
Okay, thank you. It crashed in Africa, and they were looking for it. And there was an Air Force pilot named Rosemary Smith, and they told her that a Soviet plane went down in a specific area, and she gave the longitude and the latitude that she thought that it was out. And then they found it not far off from where she said that it was, just trying to like do remote viewing on it. And they told Jimmy Carter that they found this spy plane because a psychic told him where it was. And he was like, yeah, well, that's bullshit. So he was a skeptic. Jimmy Carter's still alive, still a skeptic.
You had to bring him up again, huh?
I mean, it was during the
We
administration.
just keep restarting the clock.
I don't think he's sick.
I really think his body might be like, hey, we're good to go now.
Mm-hmm.
He might be impervious.
White Walker?
He's gonna pass like tomorrow.
But it's pretty crazy. So this project,
This lady claims to have found the spy plane by doing stuff like this, by just closing her eyes in a room. They also established a unit called the First Earth Battalion. Did you guys read about that at all?
yeah.
This kind of rocks. So it was a U.S. Army unit, and they tried to figure out if soldiers could like walk through walls. So they were like, if we put soldiers in a room for long enough and just have them think about walking through walls, will they be able to actually turn invisible? This was something that was actually studied. I think it was at Fort Bragg, and there's a movie called The Men Who Stare at Goats with George Clooney. Very funny movie. You should check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's about kind of the First Earth Battalion in Project Stargate, but it's about some other stuff too. But they did have them stare at goats to try to give the goats heart attacks. So they would spend hours in this room staring at a goat, trying to kill it with their brain. And one guy claims that he killed a goat, and when they did the autopsy on it, they opened it up and it looked like it had been shot on the inside. My best bet is they probably shot the goat, and then they were like, "Yeah, good news. Can I get out of this room now? I was able to kill the goat with my brain." They probably just got sick of staring at.
Wait, they could see that the inside of the goat had been shot. There's no outside signs.
That's what they said. Yes, that's what the autopsy said, according to the guy that did it. So, not according to the guy that did the autopsy, according to the guy who has talked about his experience in this battalion. So, also, if you're in the Army, you're bored as fuck. You probably also just want to mess with people after the fact, and it's kind of cool to have everybody think that you're able to kill an animal just by staring at it. So they might just be lying about it. Or, I mean, let's think about it. You could kill a goat, have it look like it got shot on the inside with no bullet holes on the outside.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking he may have shoved a gun.
Yep.
In an orifice.
Yeah, the goat got shoved. They just put a gun in its butt and pulled the trigger. And then that's actually like a ridiculous thing to think about. Is there's a guy that's just in a room staring at a goat for 5 hours, and he's like, "Fuck this, I'm bored. I gotta get home." Yeah, come on, the Thursday night football tonight.
At least
I gotta get home in time. And he just puts his gun up the goat's ass, pulls the trigger, and then he's like, "Good news, I killed this goat with my brain. Give me a promotion."
Is this just like did all your schools have like a goat room?
What are we doing? What are you talking about?
What?
Isn't this like a urban legend in like everyone's school that there's like this goat room, and that like back in the day when frats were hardcore, that they'd lock all the the whole pledge class in, and then like they all weren't allowed out until one dude fucked the goat.
What?
And then
I think you described this recently, but no, that is
then
not.
Whoever fucked the goat ended up not making it.
Yeah, you talked about this with Skull and Bones, and I said that you were talking about the plot from Severance, because there's a goat room in Severance too.
Yeah, I think that's what it's probably from. But I'm glad he didn't fuck the goat while he was locked in the room.
We don't know that. I mean, he killed him right afterwards. Probably said the goat wouldn't say anything.
But yeah, I mean, so I was reading about Project Stargate and how there was like this all that we're talking about is attempts at the astral body, like their astral being to traverse space and time to find these things. But with that, like walking through walls, there's also studies about how to get your physical body to move across time and space. And this is where it got really fucking weird. Like it got like there's some crazy shit that it's probably just internet lore, but like people have written books about it. Don't take anything I'm about to tell you as any sort of fact. It's just like a weird hypothetical that is like kind of mind blowing and kind of like a believable no, not really believable, but like it just is a whole very interesting historical fiction to digest.
All right, official Billy disclaimer.
Yeah, like,
don't believe anything he's about to say. This is a big time. This isn't true, but you have to admit it'd be kind of sweet if it was.
So this is where it's true. So let's go to the.
Well, you just started out with this is the truth.
What did you say?
I said this is where it's true.
This is. I meant to say
this is not.
This is not true. This is where it starts. This is where it starts. Right. So they say that the genesis of the Stargate program, we just have seen the declassified papers, quote unquote, of the psychic movement through time and space. And there's the still classified physical movement through time and space. And basically the United States started doing this stuff because when the Russians captured Berlin and went down to the Fuhrer bunker where Hitler was hiding, they didn't find Hitler. Hitler disappeared. We can't find his body, but they found a Stargate, like a portal that transports people to different dimensions and time and space. So then the Russians captured this technology and were trying to use it to create a super weapon or a way to contact beings on the other side. Yeah.
All right, Billy, I'm not trying to rain on your parade. I'm just saying, imagine if Hitler had a Stargate and he still lost the war.
I know.
Like, that's embarrassing. That's Big T. That's like hypothetically spending the most money on a payroll in sports history and then getting out to a 30-31 start during the season.
That would be really difficult to do in terms of how bad it is.
I'm not. That's the last I'm going to mention the Nazis because that's like. But it gets more interesting when you find out where they got it, and like it's really fucking cool. Like it's fucking weird. But basically, the theory is that during the Anglo-Iraqi War in 1941. The Nazis and Italians had sponsored this one prince whose name was Rashid Gailani in a coup d'etat for the Iraqi government. And that's
what?
The Iraqi government?
No, the other phrase that you said.
Coup d'etat.
Yeah, it's getting closer.
Only one sound off.
Coup d'etat.
He mixed it with crudité, like a nice appetizer.
Wait, why did you do that voice you just did again?
What, the French one?
What you just said.
Coup d'etat.
No, did like an African one after
No,
that.
I didn't. I just was mixing up pronunciations.
Okay. But when you did the French one the first time, you said it right.
Coup d'etat?
No, coup d'etat.
Coup d'etat.
Coup d'etat.
Coup d'etat. But anyway, the reason why they did this was because in Iraq there is this giant megalithic structure which is called basically it's the burial ground of Gilgamesh. And do you guys know the story of the Epic of Gilgamesh? So
I'm familiar.
Gilgamesh is basically the original religious story that they discovered. One of the original great flood myth stories. And if you look at a lot of the Mesopotamian, Sumerian mythology, it's a lot of like you can see how they evolved into biblical stories. So the great flood myth is one of them where one family survives a flood. And then, there's this whole other story about Gilgamesh, who is a half god, half human, 17-foot tall, like king who has a buddy named Enkidu that they originally were supposed to fight, and then the gods, sent Enkidu to fight Gilgamesh, but then Gilgamesh and Enkidu became bros and went on a bunch of adventures together. But then Enkidu died, which made Gilgamesh very sad and try to find, the meaning of immortality and everything. And he went looking all around the world for like how to live forever or how to transcend time and space. Anyway, they're saying that in this megalith, which is supposedly where Gilgamesh was supposed to, where his grave is, that basically there's a 17-foot body, or there's a Stargate, which Gilgamesh figured out that's how he was supposed to transcend time and space and live forever, was to go through the Stargate. So the Nazis put this guy into power, and they were able to get the plans for the Stargate and build one themselves. This is how the Russians figured out how to travel the astral plane, because they captured it at the end of World War II. And that's why we've started our own stuff in order to try to, figure out how we can transcend time and space so the Soviets don't beat us to it. This is where it gets really interesting.
Oh, this is where it gets it. Okay.
So basically in 2003, and there's a BBC article confirming this, there was a German archaeologist who had found, like some maps in the Berlin Museum, and basically found what he thought was Gilgamesh's tomb underneath this megalithic structure that Saddam had been parking planes in, because
it's called a hangar.
Yeah.
Put planes in a hangar.
No, it's this Stargate, Iraq. So basically, once this guy discovered the tomb of Gilgamesh, the United States government got wind of this, and we invaded Iraq because they were afraid Saddam had captured the Stargate, and that the weapons of mass destruction that Saddam had that we were going after wasn't nukes, wasn't chemical weapons, but was the Stargate in Gilgamesh's tomb, which was, a portal to the Anunnaki, who were the god aliens, who were Gilgamesh was half Anunnaki, these aliens that like built the Stargate to escape their planet to come to Earth, and they were like the ruling gods in the Epic of Gilgamesh, in that they were aliens and they had these superpowers and they could transcend time and space, and it's just really wild.
Again, it sounds like this Stargate thing is like the cursed monkey's paw, where you should be able to win any war possible with the Stargate, with the ability to transcend time and space, but you just have to like trust the Stargate as to where it's going to take you. So Hitler had the Stargate, and he was like, okay, I'm going to put my army into the Stargate. Ah, shit, they just popped out at Stalingrad. Damn it, it's December. Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. I should have been more specific. And then the Russians get it, and the Russians fuck up the Cold War, because it turns out that the one place that they did want to go was be sent to outer space, to the moon. They couldn't beat us to the moon, so we beat them. Then Saddam Hussein was about to get captured. He's like, I better run to the Stargate. Ah, shit, it just put me in the ground 100 miles northwest of Baghdad. Well, they're definitely going to find me here eventually. The Stargate sounds like it's not actually that nice of a tool to win any battle. So, Billy, under this lore, does that mean that we currently possess the Stargate?
Well, it turns out we just have plans for a Stargate. Like, they built multiple Stargates, and there might be Stargates under every temple, that every pyramid, like 3 pyramid succession underneath all of those are a Stargate, because they're lined up like a certain star structure. It's pretty out there. None of it's real, but it's kind of funny to think that we invaded Iraq because there's a Stargate underneath Gilgamesh's tomb.
Yeah.
And then,
maybe is it kind of funny or something you believe?
No, it's just like it's funny, like, haha, imagine if George Bush invaded Iraq because of
I came in here before the show and Billy was watching a lot of videos. That's all I'll say.
I could see Putin invading, like trying to get to Kiev because he thinks that there's a Stargate there.
Well, it's all this like occult shit that like every bad person in history just believes this weird, like almost very similar, like non-Christian ancient power thing that like Putin injects like occultism into his own stuff. Like everyone's following the same like occult playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Like Saddam, like it's this weird like alternate history they all sort of believe.
A different thing to think about with that is like maybe crazy people believe in crazy things. Irrational actors probably also look to weird superpowers to try to figure out, because if they're too logical, then they wouldn't be in the position that they're in at the moment, doing the things that they're doing at the moment.
True, because Stalin built 7 towers under the same sort of like weird theology. I forget what it is, but so the place that Saddam had possession of that the U.S. Army like wanted to take over was the Ziggurat of Ur, which is a Neo-Sumerian ziggurat that was the city of Ur near Nasiriyah. The structure was built during the early Bronze Age and was supposed to be the Venice of Iraq, basically. And there was other parts to the conspiracy where the U.S. Military like raided the Baghdad museum really early on and took all of the ancient like technology from the basement of it. It's just weird.
Again, if they had this stuff, then they should have been able to at least defeat Kuwait, or Iran.
And also, if they had this stuff, why wouldn't they use it against Iran in that war?
Yeah, exactly. They weren't like holding out for anything. They, as far as they were concerned, that was their biggest initiative that they were going to have. There's about a dozen people, I think 12 to 15 people that the U.S. Army actually did hire, though, in this program that worked either out of Fort Bragg or other places, who were just in charge of like closing their eyes and thinking that they were finding shit. There's this one lady named Angela Ford, and in 1989, they were trying to track down a customs official named Charles Jordan. I think he was like he had a warrant out for his arrest, I think for distribution of cocaine or something. But he was in hiding. Nobody knew where he was. So she went to work. She sat down in this room, tried to see if she could identify where he was. And she said that he's in Lowell, Wyoming, Lowell, Wyoming. And they went to Wyoming. They started looking for him. Turns out they found him in Lovell, Wyoming.
Huh.
Which is Lovel, Wyoming, which is, and they found him like 100 miles west. That's very, very close in terms of what she was thinking and where they actually found him. To me, this just screams like she saw a place where they were looking for him and she misread it and said that he's in Lowell. If you see Lovell and you barely glance at it, you would probably say Lowell. And so she probably saw something and then told everybody that's where you should look.
W, badly named letter. It should be double V.
Agreed. Big T, you know what? That's very French of you.
Why?
In French, it's called W.
I take back what I said then.
No, you already said it.
No, I don't. I take it back.
No, you got a little bit of that French in you.
I most certainly
You have some
not.
of that je ne sais quoi.
Absolutely not.
It does make sense, though. It's not a W. It's 2 V's in a row. But yeah, so she claims that she found that customs officer. And then she also, they don't talk about the ones that they don't get right, though. Like if you do 100 of them and you're wrong 99% of the time, and you happen to be right 1% of the time, you probably waste a lot of money looking for people in nuclear submarines and Russian spy planes in parts of the world where they most certainly are not.
Billy, can you explain what you just sent in the group? Both to the listeners and myself, please.
So basically, I sent into a group a mashup of pictures of pyramids across the world that are in the same pattern as Orion's belt. So the pyramids of Giza, they're both 3 successive pyramids. Tanakh, the ones in Mexico are also like that. The Great Pyramids are like that. And there's also some in Antarctica that are mountains, but they kind of look like that 3 successive pyramids, as well as the World Trade Center. They say that Building 7 and the 2 Twin Towers are also
And what is the significance of 3 things existing next to each other?
They think that they're Stargates.
Got it.
Underneath them, there's Stargates.
Okay.
I would actually buy that some of the pyramids might have been constructed to be in the same pattern as Orion's Belt, Billy?
Orion's
Belt.
The thing is, whenever I heard Orion's, I thought it was spelt like Irish.
You thought it was like O''RY.
I thought it was like Orion's.
It's got a flask hooked up to it.
I thought it was like an Irish name.
Shillelagh dangling from one side instead of the arrow.
I thought it was just drunk.
The Giza pyramids, there's a bunch of stuff that has to do with the Giza pyramids that are connected to astronomy and like looking at the stars, how they're oriented to be almost like a projection of some of the stars. So it wouldn't shock me if they built that in the same pattern as Orion's Belt.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Totally all fiction, and I don't believe any of this, but it's kind of a funny, like, alternate universe people have written online.
Mm-hmm. It is. So in conclusion, the Stargate program was shuttered in 1995 once some of the details started to become public and people were like, what the fuck are we spending money on? Now, I'm going to give some credit to the government for some of their wasteful spending. We spent about $20 million on it. So in today's terms, I don't know, what would that be, like $100 million if it started in the 70s, maybe a little bit more than that. In the off chance that there was something that we found, would have definitely been worth over $100 million to know that, right? Like, I was shocked actually that the number wasn't higher, that we didn't spend more money on it, but we did spend a good amount of time, effort, manpower on trying to figure out if people could sit in a room and look at some place that was across the world. And if this was possible, maybe don't have these people focus on looking for like one Coke dealer out in Wyoming. Maybe have them sit down and just try to find out where all the nukes are that Russia has, or like where whoever it was at the time, Stalin or Khrushchev, any of those guys, where they were, so we could just drone strike them real quick. That probably would have been a better use of time. And if it had worked, they probably would have gotten those guys.
We're the dead man's hand. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
That's something I don't think we've ever talked about on this show.
I think we have.
That Russia, if one guy doesn't wake up one morning and press a button every day, then a bunch of nukes just go off towards the United States.
Yeah, we've talked about that, I think.
Yeah.
Seems a little dangerous.
Mm.
All right. Well, that's Project Stargate. We probably have something like that we're doing right now, honestly.
I think we have alien technology 100%.
Okay. Well, I mean, this ties in again with what we were saying earlier about the UFOs. It seems to me like what Russia did was create a hoax of a video, and either using their own intelligence services that were in the United States as spies inside the CIA or whatever means they had, they got that circulating in the CIA just to make us think that Russia had this ability, to make us spend time, effort, manpower on trying to match that capability or studying that capability. And if that's the case, mission accomplished. They got us to spend more money. That sounds to me like pretty similar to what we might be doing right now with alien technology and alien spacecraft, trying to make China be like, well, shit, if they've got it, we should probably, how come they have it and we don't? Let's spend more money, waste a bunch of our time and resources looking for this technology that they don't even have.
I like that.
That would make
theory.
sense.
So do you think they made up that whole Stargate stuff? Because I could see that too.
Project Stargate?
No, like the actual Stargate, like the physical, moving your physical body amongst the time and space.
Do I think that was made up? Yes.
I mean, yeah, you either believe it's made up or that it exists. So
No, like do you think the Russians manufactured it? And like, yeah, we found some pretty cool stuff in Berlin.
They might have, yeah, to get us to wonder about it, specifically to get Billy to think about it like 70 years from now. They're like, there's going to be a kid that's going to waste a bunch of people's time on a podcast talking about this.
But that's pretty, I mean, it's just so funny that like we invaded Iraq because there's a Stargate in Gilgamesh's grave.
Billy
Yeah.
believes that. I can tell the way he's talking about it. He believes that.
Well, just like of all the crazy reasons, like because we're like, why did we invade Iraq? Oil or Gilgamesh?
Well, okay, so it's also crazy to think about Ronald Reagan and his wife Nancy, may she R.I.P. Her her big thing was astrology. So she would like advise Reagan on what to do. She would advise her husband on what to do about certain, agenda topics of the day based on what his astrology chart was going to read like that morning. So she believed in it, like, for lack of a better term, she was a full-throated endorser of astrology.
She had another big thing as well. She liked to advise many men.
She did. Yeah. She was head advisor for a lot of guys.
See, she believed in that culty weird shit.
Yeah. So like Reagan probably made a couple decisions at least based on the advice from his wife. And really, you don't need to be a mind reader to get a guy to do something if you're that good at giving blowjobs, right? Am I right, fellas?
I was thinking about the Stargate.
Yeah. It exists in the back of Nancy's throat.
What if like just people's kids going through the Stargate?
All right.
That's how other planets get life. But what if you like when you do psychedelics, you can tap into the astral plane and like
Okay.
move
Go on.
amongst the stars and contact entities.
Go on.
That'd be pretty cool.
It would be pretty cool. I admit it would be. All right. Well, anything else we want to talk about when it comes to Project Stargate? Because this is a real thing that allegedly happened.
I wonder, should we try to go somewhere in our brains?
Yeah, Billy, you said that you had an experiment, right?
I was gonna give you an envelope with coordinates in it and tell you to.
Oh, you were
imagine.
gonna have me do the Mars experiment.
Yeah, but it wasn't gonna be Mars.
I think it seems like it's not as long ago as we maybe think it was that people were just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there has been a much larger than you would anticipate jump in human intelligence in the last 40 years.
Yeah.
And maybe that's due to like an exponential rise in technology and stuff like that, but like it's not a long time ago that we were doing really crazy, weird, dumb shit.
Yeah. I mean, most people, if they wanted to learn something, you had to get up. First of all, you had to stand up out of your chair. That sucks. Then you had to go walk or get into a car, drive it to a library, use the Dewey Decimal System, find the book that you're looking for on the shelf, take the book off, and then sit down and then read that book and then absorb that information. Now you barely even have to open your eyes. As long as you got two thumbs, and sometimes you don't even need thumbs to do it, you can just use your voice or like eye tracking software. You can just get answers to most anything. I actually think what the internet's been worst for is bar arguments, because there was a time not too long ago when you can get into an argument in a bar about like something that happened in sports 40 years ago, and then nobody would know who's right, and both guys could just be sure that they're right and get mad at each other and be like, "I'm so right about this." Now you just look it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people were significantly more dumb. But that said, I could still see the government spending money on something like this right now.
If we only knew the things that we're spending money on.
It's probably reverse engineering alien technology that we found from crashes.
Mm-hmm.
Or
maybe.
Iraq.
Yep. You definitely believe the Stargate and Iraq theory.
No.
You guys want to do some voicemails?
Yeah.
There's also a Russian article that said that there was a UFO in Iraq that we were invaded to get, and that Saddam was reverse engineering a UFO.
Again, he probably should have won the war then, or at least put up a fight.
Yeah.
Hey, want to do voicemail?
Yep.
What's happening, guys? Big fan of the pod. This is Pat from Delco. My question for y'all is, what do you think if there was a skill, what do you think your 99th percentile on that skill? Like, for example, I can see an actor or actress and name every movie or show they've ever been in, that sort of thing. Something you think you could potentially be the best in the world at. Weird skill, anything like that. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
I have freakish eyesight.
You think you're 1% in Sears
I can read the whole
chart?
What kind of vision is that?
I want to say 2010.
It's 2010.
It's
Yeah.
2010.
No offense, I have 2010 too.
Oh, cool. Shit, maybe not that special.
Yeah.
Wow, Mad Dog, sounds like your eyes are really, really good.
Yeah.
Best eyesight in the room.
Oh yeah, probably.
Do you want to have
You want to
An eye off?
do you want an eye off?
Yeah.
We should.
Yeah, let's do it.
How can we do that?
We need to get one of those things,
Get an eye chart?
Yeah.
but then we'll memorize it by accident.
Not by looking at it once.
What?
Yeah, you can.
If I looked at it one time, it's like who reads farther?
Yeah, but then if we have to like take step backs.
Big T, can you do me a favor real quick? Can you just Google online, see if there's an eye test, internet eye test. Just see if one exists.
The pixels aren't big enough, aren't
And
small enough.
well, are you already making excuses? Sounds like
I'm
you're
not. I'm
already-
saying that you couldn't do it by just looking at a screen.
Well, maybe there's an internet eye test.
We could put it on the
Here's
screen.
one from a glasses company that costs money. That seems like a fucking racket.
Yeah.
Hey, pay us so we can tell you what you need that you can then buy from us.
Yeah.
They definitely upload
It's
that
a-
in the shittiest resolution possible.
It's a personal seat license for glasses. You have to pay for the right to buy the glasses.
You know, I feel really stupid saying my eyesight prowess out loud because the only people I've talked to about it is just like the random nurses that I do it with.
I mean, yeah, these are just eye charts. Like, we could put one up on the TV if you want.
Wait, what, Billy?
What?
Are we
What'd
saying
you
that's
just
like
say?
a really personal thing?
No, it's just like the only person who's known about my eyesight is the nurses I do the eyesight thing with.
Oh, that you do the eyesight. Okay.
Oh,
What?
I like to show off my eyesight to nurses because they understand it.
Bonk.
No, they
Where's-
give the test.
Where's that clitoris? It's around here somewhere. Got it. There it is.
2010.
2010 vision. Ladies, get you a man that's got 2010 vision.
That was good.
Big T, what are you the best in the world at?
I think I might be the best at creating acronyms for things. I turn everything into an acronym. Like, people that, like, my friends and my girlfriend and stuff, I have, like, anything, I have acronyms for anything.
Give me an example.
So, like, over Memorial Day weekend, I was with my uncle and his kids, and so one of the kids is 3, so he just gets pissed off randomly at the drop of a hat. So those were dubbed random fits of rage, aka RFR. So now anytime I say RFR, that means like someone has gotten upset irrationally or for whatever, so that's RFR.
Is there anybody in the office, in the Barstool office, that you can think of that exhibits traits of RFR?
I think there are a couple RFRs here for sure. RFRers. Yeah.
RFRs.
RFRs. Yeah, so I just create acronyms for everything, and I'm the GOAT at acronyms.
That's a great way to describe it. I think, I'm really, really good at stopping the gas pump on exactly the number that I want to spend. I was like probably batting 80% when I was driving a car full time. Sometimes I just do it for fun. I'd be filling up my car and okay, it's getting close to 20. Let's see if I can just stop it at 20 again. Boom, stop it at 20 first time. No worries. I'm about to buy another car. So I'll have to see if my skills got rusty on that. But last I checked, I was good at it. If you ask Jeff D. Lowe, I don't think I've missed a Sublime trivia question in the history of the dozen. So I might be one of the best at Sublime trivia. But that also falls in the category of things that you really care about and study a lot when you're, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. And that stuff stays in your brain for the rest of your life.
Word.
What about you, ladies?
I mean, I think mine has to be the splitting of the letters. Like,
I would say that's a hindrance, not a skill.
no, but I'm good at doing it. Like, it hinders other parts of my life, but I'm good at doing it. That or memorizing license plates and then recounting them later in life. But
You're the best. You're the best narc.
yeah, but I don't do anything with them.
Do you ever notice one repeatedly and think they're stalking you?
No, but you know what I did notice growing up is when I would do this is that, so I know different states do their license plates different ways. Ohio does 3 letters and then 4 numbers. So like growing up, my mom's license plate was 3 letters and 4 numbers or whatever. And I would notice, I would like register patterns in like the first 3 letters. If they were from the same dealership, they would have the same first 3 letters or something like that. So then I like,
Interesting.
yeah. So then like if one car that I saw would have the same 3 letters as my mom's, I'd be like, oh, they got it from the same place we did.
I think I might be the best estimator of what time it is, having not looked at a clock in the previous at least 1 hour.
Oh, that's a good skill.
Like, I
That
can't
is
do it right
pretty
now
good.
because I just unintentionally saw what time it was, but I could have not looked at a clock for 2 or 3 hours and be within 5 minutes easy.
That's a good skill to have.
Yeah.
Mackenzie?
Oh, I would say I'm really good at hula hooping. Like I used to win all those competitions like in elementary school in hula hooping, and my mom is actually really good at it too, so maybe it runs in the family. But I would always be like one of the winners.
The hooper?
And we'd have to go down like, oh, like one leg or like spin around or like some weird trick because it wasn't ever ending.
Did you ever beat your mom?
I don't know, actually. I think there was always different like kids and parents. Like they were never, like I never went against her.
Whoa.
Big T's also good at hula hooping. I remember that.
I
He
dabble.
is. Yeah.
Oh my God.
People forget Knoxville.
A lot of people
Big T was
saying that
great at it.
that propelled UT to a victory. Following that.
Yeah. boys were fired up. Hendon was showing that video in the locker room.
Yep.
That
I
was
saw
a memory that was pulled from way back.
Market
there.
Square gets rowdy on Friday nights.
There's hula
a
hoops
couple weeks
everywhere.
ago. I was walking through the airport and I saw it looked like a hula hoop team that was walking through. That they all had their like professional hoops with them.
Oh no, that's like rhythmic gymnastics.
You do hula hooping and rhythmic gymnastics?
They do. They don't hula hoop. They have the hoops and then they swing them on their arm and then throw them up and then like catch them back on their arm and then like use them as like an accessory.
Got it.
And they have them in those bags. Yep.
We got to get a hula hoop off going between Big T and Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Yo, these photos are nuts
What are you talking
of New York City right now.
Oh. It looks yet less yellow now.
What if the aliens are here and they're just trying to smoke screen us so that we can't see the huge firefight going in this up in the sky between the UFOs and like the F-22s?
Interesting. What would you say that Arian is the best at in the world?
Playing running back.
Yeah, probably football.
Well, top
He's probably
40
Who
Ever.
Who would be better? Like
ever. You want me to go down the list?
not with him not here. I think we'll save that for when he's here.
But it's like even every bad running back, Arian was a good running back in the NFL. Every bad running back in the NFL is still in the 1% of being in the whole
We're gonna
world.
say
right.
I'm gonna say
Yes.
nice things about Arian because he's not here right now. But Arian was in fact the best running back on planet Earth for probably 2, maybe 3 seasons.
Yeah. So like
He's very good. He's
even
very
a good even a
would
good
say
college
great.
running back is in the 1%.
We toss around great a lot. It's an overused word.
He was all pro.
He's really good.
Yeah, he's great.
He was a good player.
I would say that if he was properly utilized, he could have been the best ever.
I would not say that.
Yeah, that's quite a statement to make.
Who's the best running back ever?
Barry Sanders.
Oh.
I think Arian would tell you that Barry Sanders was a better running back than he was. And
Was Deion Sanders a running
I
back?
think if Barry
No.
Sanders was played in Arian's era, that he wouldn't be as successful.
Interesting. You could say Arian Foster is the best ever, like best one of how many people have existed on Earth? Have we looked that up before?
It's like 100 billion or something.
No, I
Out
think
of-
it's. I think more people exist now than have ever. Wait 1 second.
No,
I don't think that's true.
that's not.
117 billion.
Okay,
Mhm.
117 billion.
Are we counting early humans in that? How's that? What's the cutoff on that?
Either way, you're
People,
really wrong.
yeah.
That's a good point. I think
Like, when we
so. Arian is without a doubt the best of all time out of 117 billion people at playing running back for the Houston Texans.
That is true.
The best. That's crazy to think.
What about the Miami Dolphins too?
No, they had some good players.
Houston
Who's the
Texans,
best-
For sure.
Who's the best Dolphins running back of all time?
Wasn't O.J. Simpson on them?
He's on the Bills. What about Ronnie Brown?
Oh, Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams. He was pretty good on Miami, yeah. Mercury Morris.
That's a good name.
It is a good name. But yeah, Arian's one of 117 billion.
Why did you think O.J. Simpson played one season on the Dolphins?
I'm
Why
not
did
sure.
Arian Foster play one season with
Yeah.
the Dolphins?
All the great ones do.
Yeah.
All right, another voicemail.
Yep.
Hey guys, this is Quentin from Philadelphia, PA. Just want to say I love the show. You guys are killing it. But my question for you all is, what is your closest near-death experience, if you had one? So I'd love to hear that from you all. Anyways, keep killing it. Stay handsome and beautiful. Peace.
I know mine.
Near-death experience. Go off.
I was probably 12 or 13. And so my great grandma lived next to this restaurant that we went to all the time. And it was still is my favorite restaurant ever. And one day, my family was over there. I was like, let's go to Roasters. And nobody wanted to go. And they're like, you can go if you want. Just go walk down there. And so I walked down there, went and got food, and I was walking back, and I crossed the street I didn't have the light, but I was just there's no cars coming, and I was looking down at, I probably had an iPod at the time. I don't even think I had a phone, and I looked down at something, and I should have gotten killed. I should have been just absolutely creamed by this car. And the guy swerved out of the way and missed me. And I had I probably had headphones in, I think. And I looked up and saw him where Billy is getting around me. I was like, holy shit.
Guardian Angel.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm glad that car missed. You know what kind of car it was?
I don't recall. Got Roasters though. That was good.
Yeah. How good did that meal taste?
Oh, outstanding.
Best meal of your life.
Yeah.
What about you, Billy? You ever almost die?
Couple times. What's interesting though?
You say it so casually.
No, because for example, getting hit in the head and then going to sleep without waking yourself up, and that was pretty dangerous.
You seem like a type of kid that almost got kidnapped at one point.
No, I was too paranoid.
Not even.
You'd also be the kidnapper would probably give you back.
Yeah.
Because you just
Yeah.
would keep talking to them about random things.
Not even on the mean streets of New York City.
No, Billy was definitely that kid from Jerry Maguire that had all those facts.
Yeah.
he just keeps saying,
Did you know
"Some facts, kid."
Did you know the brain weighs 8 pounds?
No, I'm trying to think. I was pretty sick as a child. Oh no, you know what? I almost slipped off the rope at the bottom of the East River. That would have definitely killed me.
Yeah.
When you went with
Yeah,
Danny?
the current was pretty crazy. And I was white knuckling the rope, and I was at the bottom, and I got hit with a serious gust, a current, because it's a tidal estuary. So it's not a river. So the currents aren't all moving at the same time, at the same place. I got my hand slipped off, and right before, I had my leg wrapped around, but right before I was able to like get loose off the line, I grabbed with my other hand. And then I was like, you know what? It's time to go back to the surface. I'm not finding any mammoth bones down here.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty dangerous.
I got into a car accident when I was, how long ago was that? It was probably 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago. I was driving my car. I was pushing a Honda Ridgeline sick whip through this intersection. I was on my way back from the gym, just did back and arms. It was a really good workout. And I'm going through this intersection. There's a truck that's coming, a big pickup truck. T-bones me because they ran straight through a red light because the dude was looking at his phone. Hits me going about 40, 45 miles per hour right on my driver's side, like right where the driver's side and the back seat of the driver's side kind of intersect. And so jacks me up, glass shatters all over me, all the airbags go out. I end up only getting like scraped up from the glass that got shattered and like fell on my arms and on the side of my head. But in the second after it happened, like I realized, oh shit, this is bad. I see a lot of smoke. I better get out of my car. And I tried to open my door, right? My door doesn't open because it's all caved in. And so I'm like, fuck, how do I get out of here in case the car catches on fire? And in the moment after you get into an accident, you've got like all this adrenaline going, so you don't really think rationally. I should have just climbed over the center console, opened up the passenger side, and just walked out. But what I did was I unbuckled my seatbelt, did like a back somersault over the center console into the back seat on my side, opened up the door, and then rolled out the back like I was an action star. And then I got out, went to the sidewalk, and I just looked at my truck and it was just sitting there not catching on fire. But I did a sick move to get out of it in case anybody saw. I hope somebody would have footage of that. But yeah, being in an accident, it shook me up for a little bit. So wear your seatbelts. That's the moral of the story. Even if people on Twitter say that you're gay for wearing a seatbelt, wear your seatbelts.
Kenzie, have you almost died?
No, I like drowned once when I was like a child, and I didn't think I was gonna die, but I one time was hiking Runyon Canyon in LA, and my friends and I somehow went the wrong way. So instead of like going up most of the way, we were like scaling down the mountain, and I like slipped down like a very big like height of it, like very far, and I just kind of like sled I guess down on my butt, and I was very nervous, but I wasn't necessarily like thinking I was gonna die.
Mask guy for me thought that was the end.
True.
And then couple years ago in college, I was actually coming back from New York to look at apartments to move here, and Cincinnati doesn't have like a ton of Uber drivers like hanging out like New York does, and so I got into a Lyft to go from the airport back to Miami, and I was like, that was probably the most nervous I've been that I was gonna get like kidnapped and taken away. Like the Uber driver was stopped and locked me in the car for like 15 minutes. And he was like in a gas station, and he just left me locked in the car, and his car was like creepy and smelled like cigarettes. And then he asked me about like my boobs a bunch, and he asked me like all about like inappropriate things about me. And so then I had to pretend I was calling my like boyfriend at the time and my mom and be like, oh yeah, I'm here now. Oh, I'm here. And then he took me, Miami's in like the backwoods, like Miami is in cornfields and then just like opens up, and he took me like not through the one cornfield I know. So then I was like, I don't even know where the fuck I am right now. And then I had to like report him to Lyft and stuff.
Damn.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty bad.
terrifying.
Yeah, it was really scary. And from the Cincinnati airport to Miami is like an hour Uber. So it was like an hour of it.
My
It wasn't like a
God.
20-minute jaunt. It was so scary. Whatever, I survived though.
I woke up with a bat flying around
In Hoboken?
no, this was at the barn, and I totally should have gotten rabies shots.
Yeah. Can you die from
Yeah.
not getting?
You rolled the dice. Yeah,
I
rabies
rolled-
is 100% fatal if you get
Yeah.
it.
Really?
Wait, really?
Yeah, I really rolled the dice.
How long ago was that?
COVID, right?
2 years.
Hmm.
I remember Well, PFD, when it happened, you were like, well, did the bat look like it had rabies?
Was it a grounded bat? Yeah. If the bat's on the ground, then that bat's sick. Don't touch it.
It was flying. It was the bat colony was in the roof, so I had a feeling that if the bat was like rabid, the other bats would have kicked it out.
Yeah.
So.
Good point. You were safe.
I did not realize rabies was that.
Oh,
that it
yeah.
kills
I
everyone.
didn't either. Yeah.
Yep.
It's really sad.
Less than 20 cases of human survival from clinical rabies have been documented. That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Wait,
yeah,
but
rabies is really bad.
So
It's
wait,
also a very bad way to die too.
Yeah.
what
Like, go
happens?
insane.
What?
You go insane.
Then I read somewhere that you can
Really?
have rabies could be
like dormant?
dormant for 6 years. And I was like, fuck, I'm not out of the woods.
You're still not out of the woods?
Not really.
They usually say you die in 6 months, but I'm
Yeah, no,
out
it's
of 6
usually
months,
very quick.
but then they're like 6 years.
Is that like people who don't realize that it happened to them, or
Yeah,
they don't get it treated?
If you don't get it treated, you can go get a rabies panel, which is they give you a bunch of shots, like a shitload of shots. If you think that there's a
Scary
chance that
needles.
you got it, and then you probably won't get rabies after that. But if you wait too long to get the shots, then yeah, you're gonna
Oh
die.
my God, I did not know that either.
So if you think that you got bitten by a bat or a raccoon or a possum,
Yeah.
anything like that, or dog, go get those rabies shots.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Well, I
I
don't
almost
understand. Why do they have dogs rabies vaccines but not human rabies vaccines?
Probably because there's not that many people that get rabies, right? I would assume it's like not as big of a market.
It's more common in dogs.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I almost died one time when I took a vacation with some of my friends and we went and stayed at my aunt's house, right? And we put a bunch of food in the refrigerator, came back. I forgot to take some of the food out. So the house started to smell real bad. And my aunt called me up and she was like, hey, you have to come clean this out. So I drive back out to her house and I'm probably 17 at the time, 18. And I start cleaning out the refrigerator. It's like, it smells so bad in here. So I go under the counter to get whatever bleach products that they have, all that stuff. I get bleach and I get ammonia. And I put them on rags and stuff. I put them into containers and I start cleaning out the fridge with them. I didn't know this. Maybe somebody out there doesn't know this. You should never mix bleach and ammonia.
You fucking
If you-
chloroformed yourself?
It's like mustard gas, I'm pretty
No,
sure.
he
my
he
gosh.
World War One
Yeah.
trench warfared himself.
So I
Chloroform
had
would be fun.
no idea about it at the time. I started to get a headache as I was cleaning out this fridge, and I was like, "Why is my head like pounding? Why does this hurt so much?" And then I took a break for a little bit, and then I went back and I ended up cleaning out the rest of the fridge, but I didn't feel good afterwards. And then I told my mom when I got home, I was like, "Yeah, I still got this headache from cleaning out the fridge. I breathed in too many chemicals." And she was like, "What'd you breathe in?" I told her. She was like, "You're not supposed to mix bleach and ammonia." I was like, "Thanks, Mom. You're the one that's supposed to have told me that. Nobody told me this yet." So maybe one person learns from my mistake. Don't mix those two chemicals together because you can actually die.
Yeah, way too common of two chemicals. Also,
Yeah.
remember with some German scientists discovered mustard gas and they like had a celebration and his wife killed herself because she was like so ashamed that he just made such a weapon. But like you shouldn't have like those are two very common chemicals. Like you're not that cool for discovering that. Like PFD discovered it by accident. Like
Yeah.
like but one of the worst parts of modern warfare, chemical
Yeah.
gas.
Don't mix bleach and ammonia, guys.
Also, don't pee on bleach
What do you mean?
because there's a good amount of ammonia in your piss.
Okay.
So if
Good
you
advice.
if you try to put bleach like on like a pissed, like if you like
Is this do you know from experience or?
no, like if you piss your bed and then try to put bleach to like clean it, like you can get a bad situation.
Oh, you chloroform yourself.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, chloroform's different than mustard gas.
Oh.
Chloroform puts you to sleep. Chloroform smells sweet. That's why when Freon was leaking from my AC unit, I was like, holy shit, someone's trying to knock me out, kidnap me. For
All right. Well, good episode. Anybody have anything else to add?
Now I'm terrified I have rabies.
You don't.
You're
I
fine.
think you're good. What happens
Aaron
when
will
you
be
get
back
rabies?
next week. He sends his best.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go buy a car.
Really?
Or at least shop for a car. Yeah. I love shopping for cars. It's the best because I used to work as a used car salesman, so I know all their tricks.
I was say, what's your tactic?
What are we looking at?
Good question, Big T. Aston Martin, maybe a Bentley.
I mean,
Ferrari.
I'm pretty sure you're
Lamborghini
joking, but that's
Countach.
absolutely you could for sure.
I'm considering potentially a Bronco.
White.
Yes. You
Then
gotta
I'm
get
gonna
away.
go play for the Dolphins for a while. Not a white one. We'll see. We'll see where we end up here. But I love car shopping. I love it so much. I like going in and just being like disarmingly honest with the salesperson because they're used to people lying to them and like playing all these games. And so I just like straight up telling them like, hey, here's what I want. Well, actually, I went in yesterday and looked at a car, and the guy, before I could take the test drive, he was like, take a seat so I can get some of your information here. Fair enough. I know how this game works. You don't just let anybody come in and drive any car that they want. You have to get their information first, and they know that they're not allowed to drive the car unless they give you, the ID and all that stuff. But so sit down at the table, and the guy, first question he asks, he goes, what would you give your credit score on a scale of 1 to 10? Like right off the bat, like let's just take this off the table. And I was like, they actually have they have a credit score for that, so I don't have to give you 1 to 10. I can tell you what my credit score is if that makes it helpful. Or if you're wondering, like, am I actually able to buy this car? I am, but that's part of my trick. Is I walked into the dealership just looking like a total slob yesterday, which for me is saying something. I was wearing I think I had Umbro shorts on. I had a stained zip up hoodie, and I definitely hadn't showered yet yesterday when I went into the store. So the guy saw me walking. He's like, oh, this guy can't buy a car. This guy's a joke. I kind of like that. I like them thinking that I'm not able to complete the purchase. Gives me a strategic advantage against them. Yeah, I'll be hopefully buying a car soon.
Love that.
Exciting.
Also, shout out Peloton. I want to shout out Peloton because Stephen Che and I went in and did a workout on Monday in New York with Kindle Tool. Did the pop punk ride. It was kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. I'm not.
Why?
Because I think the bikes in person have lower output ratings than the ones that I'm used to. I think they juiced them up. I had a bad bike, is what I'm saying. I put up a bad score. I disappointed myself, but I almost threw up during the ride because I was pushing maybe a little bit too hard, which is embarrassing when you look at my final score that I was pushing hard enough to throw up. And then I asked her after class, I was like, what do you do with people that throw up? And she looked at me like I was crazy. Like, nobody's ever thrown up in here. I was like, oh. I throw up like 10% of the time when I do a Peloton. I guess I'm just very out of shape.
10%?
I used to, not anymore. That's when I was like really pushing myself back in COVID. But I was also putting up better scores. It's like if you're not puking, you're not trying. All right. Good episode. We will see you guys on Tuesday of next week. Stay gorgeous over the weekend and be safe. Buckle up. Get tested for rabies. Don't mix bleach and ammonia. Those are the things you can take away from this episode.
Also,
Yeah,
if your
Billy?
friend hits his head, wake him up in the middle of the night to make sure he's alive.
Okay. Good advice. Love you guys.